like to call to order this meeting of the West Windsor Township Council of March 26, 2018. Sharon, have we been adequately noticed?
Yes, this meeting was noticed January 5th, 2018, to the Trenton Times and to the Princeton Packet. The closed session, which we just got out of, was noticed to the Times and the Packet March 19th, 2018.
All right. If you could join us for the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next, we have a ceremonial matter. The mayor will read a proclamation for Autism Awareness Month and World Autism Awareness Day.
Thanks everyone for coming. World Autism Awareness Day. Whereas Autism Speaks first opened its door in 2005, helping advance our understanding and treatment of autism in ways unimaginable 10 years ago. And whereas autism can be reliably diagnosed by age 2, Autism Speaks is rebuilding efforts to increase early screening, especially in underserved communities. And whereas high-quality early intervention can change underlying brain development and activity, if not delayed until grade school and beyond. And whereas Autism Speaks has successfully advocated for health coverage of behavioral health treatment, which is now the law in 38 states. And whereas families are now getting much needed therapy that was once denied. And whereas each April 2nd, the international autism community celebrates the United Nations sanctioned World Autism Awareness Day and kicks off Autism Awareness Month. Now therefore it be resolved that the Mayor and Council of West Windsor Township, Mercer County, New Jersey, proclaim April 2nd as World Autism Awareness Day and April to be Autism Awareness Month. Autism Speaks represents many years of progress and a lifetime of hope.
If the person representing autism, thank you, comes forward. I'd like to present you with the official, beautiful copy of what the mayor just
Thank you so much. Your words were so meaningful to so many people.
Well, what you do is so meaningful to so many people. Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to thank everyone from West Windsor Township for acknowledging what we do. At Autism Speaks, we are enhancing the lives of so many families and children, and we're looking for solutions for tomorrow.
She's talking to the mic, she can't be heard. Just use the mic.
Oh, so I can sound like I'm yelling? 1 in 68 children is diagnosed with autism. The numbers are staggering, but due to a lot of our advocacy, our research, our family services, we can help so many people. And now my shameless plug is we do a walk in October. It's our biggest fundraiser. We would love to have everybody come out and support us so we can support the children and families that need us so greatly. Thank you.
Now, I know what the agenda says, but we have our chief financial officer waiting for the budget introduction, and the mayor has asked if council would be so kind as to vote to change the order of the agenda and have the budget introduction now. So do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Do we need a roll call vote on this, Sharon?
No, I heard you from back there.
Okay, so if Joanne Law...
Now, if we can only find the CFO.
I think she expected to wait, but we don't want her to wait.
This is just the introduction of the budget as was agreed by the council at the last meeting about a month ago. They still have a month to adopt the budget on...
We can't find her.
She's in route.
She's what?
In route.
Oh, okay. So when she comes here, we have an ordinance to introduce first to establish appropriation limits and establish a cap bank, and then we have the actual budget introduction, and she will explain what this means to everybody when she gets here, which will be momentarily, because it really isn't very far from anywhere in this building to anywhere else in this building.
Are you ad-libbing? Is that what we're...
Yes. Yeah. I think that technically they call it filling dead air. Is that right?
Anybody wants to tell a joke? No, thanks to Chief for agreeing to be bumped. So the Chief is out, but he was gracious enough to give up his slot.
Allison,
Yeah.
just for a moment.
Are you going to tell a joke?
No, having served on the Eden Board of Autism for over...
Microphone.
Speak in the mic.
Having served on the Board of Eden for over 20 years, can I just personally say thank you on behalf of the Eden School in Princeton for your proclamation this evening honoring autism. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do you want to move something else up?
Let's take in the Chief and then let's get...
Okay, I've just heard from the mayor that our flexible, humorous police chief is willing to step up and take his original place while we wait for the CFO. Thank you, Chief.
I promised to be brief. I was asked to be brief. I will try and be brief.
Give me a minute. I'm aware that because of the recent incidents, there's a lot of anxiety among parents and members as to the type of security that we provide in the township. So I requested the chief to come and talk about it. They work very closely, both police departments work very closely with the school district. On purpose, they don't say specifically what actions they take because they do work, they don't want everybody to know what kind of security measures we have in place. So he will describe a lot of things, but not everything that is being done.
Well, Council, I just wanted to keep you up to date and also keep the residents up to date. Just letting you know that with our police department, with the school, with Dr. Adderhold, the superintendent, and with Plainsboro, this is business as usual for us as far as school security, school safety, and the protection of our children. Just so you know that our officers are always in the schools. If you notice, and your kids have noticed for the longest time, we've been involved at many different events. We're always around on the weekends. We're at different social events. We're at science fairs. Anywhere that our officers can be present to be part of that school environment, that's where you're going to see all these officers. And also, part of that is going in and out of the schools during the school day. We have DARE officers that go in and teach. We have DARE officers that spend time with the students. And then we also have our officers. And when I speak with us, I also speak that Plainsboro is doing pretty similar things that we're doing. I know I can't speak for them, but they do around the same thing. So we are in and out of the schools all day long. And it's that random type school patrol. We just go in there, we say hi, we talk to the students. We really have a cooperative atmosphere, and I think it shows with a lot of our students They enjoy seeing the officers, they talk to them, it's a very enjoyable environment for them to ask questions and discuss things with them. You will see us at different other events. We were just at the reading event. We will go where they conduct drills, where we have regular fire drills or safety drills. We are present for these events. So you will see us in and out of the schools. Recently, we have worked with the superintendent, we've worked with Plainsboro, and we discussed many of the security measures that have been going on and what things can be made better, what can we do that we aren't currently doing. I know the schools has the Eyes on the Door program, which involves putting personnel at the door to keep an eye on who's coming in and out of the building. Discussions were done with the superintendent and with Plainsboro, and everybody agrees that the eventuality, a nice next step, is going to be a Class 3 type officer. And a Class 3 type officer, without getting into a real detailed explanation, is basically a retired officer who has regular police powers, who is trained, who has a weapon, who has all the above. Basically, he's an officer that is retired but called into school service. The good part about having a trained police officer is you have someone who is hired by the PD, who is trained by the police department, outfitted, all of the above is done by the police department. So our hiring practices for what we do as officers, I'm very happy with. I think we have wonderful officers. They're well-educated, well-trained, and that would go into the same hiring function as Class 3 type officers. And this is a discussion with the school system. This is a discussion with the superintendent. It's nothing that has been set in stone, but it's just a direction of our discussion to let you know we are thinking about the eventual next steps and what we need to do with school security. Some of the stuff we've already done and which we've done in the past is a school security assessment. Just recently, we tested the capabilities of many of the different schools in West Windsor, and that result was brought to the attention of the superintendent and the principals of those schools. And I have to tell you, the schools did a phenomenal job with what we found and what we looked into. Obviously, it's not something I'd like to discuss in detail because we don't want to let everyone know what the problems are, but I can tell you that the problems were brought to the attention of the school, the superintendent and the principals, and they're working on fixing the little holes, the little bugs, the little problems. And that's something we would do for our own education as well. You know, it's nice to know what problems you have, what things are going wrong, and be able to fix that and keep working on those. If we're constantly working on and constantly drilling and constantly testing, then we're going to refine those issues and those problems with the schools. One of the other things we're working on is the ALICE training, which is part of some of our officers have gone to school for a national recognized program called ALICE, which I won't get into all the acronyms and all about it, but it's really the next eventuality of school safety, school security, where we're talking about not just sheltering in place, but as a whole comprehensive plan of maybe evacuate, then shelter, and then turn and fight back, that type of thing. These are all programs we're looking into. We're working with the prosecutor's office and many other entities to try and see what is the best approach for school security. Understand that this is West Windsor, and some of the things that maybe that's not paid attention to is also the simple fact that our officers are well trained and they are well educated. Each and every one of us trains with a long gun for safety, for security. We train multiple times a year. We train scenario-based. We train many different ways. We work very hard, and our dispatchers are second to none. We are locally dispatched, and I know that doesn't mean a whole lot to council right now because you don't understand it, but we don't farm out our services like garbage collection or trash monitoring and that type of thing. We have locally trained dispatchers who sit locally. So when you dial 911, you're getting one of our dispatchers who knows the town, who knows the people in the town, and knows where everything is, and knows our officers and what they're capable of. And it may not seem like a lot, but they are the lifeline. You know, when you're calling 911 and you have a sick relative or someone who's injured, it may seem like an eternity when only 1 or 2 minutes goes by. And knowing that you're not getting transferred to 11 different areas, you're getting that dispatcher immediately on that phone call is what we do here. Again, I wanted to let all of you know that our school security and our ability to protect the schools is an ongoing process. We're always learning. We're always looking for bigger and better and how to do things. And it's always going to be dynamic and a fluid response. And I just want to say this one last thing before we go, and I want to just say this. To all the moms and dads that are out there, I'm going to tell you right now that I will be the first person through the door if there's ever anything in the school system, or if there's ever a problem. I guarantee you, and every other officer on this police department will either be in front of me or right behind me. We won't hesitate, we won't falter, we won't stand behind. We will protect your children, and I give you this promise. Again, I just want to give you a brief update. Thank you for your time. I know you have a busy night, so I will not keep you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, just one comment. Several people have questions about the Class 3 officer, but that's a school board decision, not a council or the mayor's decision. And I see a school board member there trying to hide, Martin Whitfield. So it's a question for him, and I have a retired school board member, Richard Kaye. He can vouch that the schools have always worked very closely with both the police departments in West Windsor and Plainsboro. So we are doing everything within our power that we can, but just talk to your friends. I mean, kids talk to each other, the kids know what the other kid is up to. If you see anything funny, if you see anything that makes you uncomfortable, just talk to the guidance counselor, talk to your parents, call the police. The time to say that a kid is just being a kid is long gone, unfortunately. So just keep talking to your kids and making sure that you know who their friends are and you know what they are doing. And if you see anything funny, don't hesitate. Better to be safe than sorry.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everybody. Are we ready with the Chief Financial Officer, or shall we go straight into public comment?
I would suggest public comment. I see there's a 30-minute limit, so...
Well, the 30-minute limit is traditionally not withheld, not upheld when
Okay.
there are so many people who wish to express their opinion.
I'm just pointing out what's on the agenda. The CFO is on our way, so proceed with public comment.
So please, everybody, we do have a sign-up sheet. If you're not signed up, you can still speak, but the people who are signed up speak first. Please come forward and make your comments on everything but the 3 ordinances which have public hearings, which I'm sure none of you are thinking about.
All right, I have Mr. Rajaram, 5 Brushton Court.
And 3 ordinances are not to do with the gun law, is it?
Absolutely
No.
nothing.
Okay. What, face this way?
No, face this way.
way.
Face everyone.
No, you have to speak right into the mic, otherwise you are not
I'm also
recorded.
speaking to everyone here.
You're here to address council.
Ladies and gentlemen,
But you must address council.
Okay.
Everyone must address council. You cannot address the crowd. You
You,
have to address council.
if you speak in the mic, they can hear. If you move away from mic, nobody can hear you.
wonderful West Windsor Council, and ladies and gentlemen of West Windsor, it's a shame on this topic that we have to have such a us versus them mentality, the topic of guns. Thankfully, this is but a discussion. So I believe at the end of today, we can all shake hands and walk away saying that was a great discussion that we had to have. Now, my presentation today is not to comment on the proposed laws, but rather it's more along lines of facts and statistics on guns as a whole. And I feel that much of the discussion in the news and the media is emphasis on fearing guns rather than the actual problem, which is the individual behind the gun. Now, according to CDC, there are 30,000 gun deaths per year nationwide, meaning the gun deaths actually already contribute to a statistically insignificant category of all deaths nationwide, considering that there are 350 million people in this country. 18,000 of these 30,000 gun deaths, or 2/3, is suicide, which is a mental health issue, not a gun issue. The remaining 12,000 are homicides. Of these 12,000 homicides, most are due to gang violence drug deals gone bad, and some domestic disputes here and there. Mass shootings as seen in Parkland and Pulse contribute to about 180 deaths per year, which is less than 1% of all gun homicides. These types of shootings are statistically unlikely events, and we always talk correctly about how we should never fear religious terrorism because it's a statistically unlikely thing to happen to anyone. Similarly, this is also something that's statistically unlikely. If you're not in a gang or drug dealing, and assuming you're not an abuser or in an abusive relationship, your kids or you will most certainly not be killed in gun violence. That is not to say one death is too many, so that's not to comment on the fact that we shouldn't pass laws to try to prevent this stuff, but I think we need to get to the real issue, which is the people. Guns are also used defensively. The CDC says the number of gun defensive uses are higher than the number of criminal uses. This was in 2013. There was a range of over 500,000 to 3 million defensive gun uses, according to the research from the Institute of Medicine and National Research Council. And, you know, personally, that's a good thing. A lot of women, like for example, my petite 5'2" cousin who works at Ernst & Young, she weighs about 100 pounds. She would have no chance against a man who was, 6'1", 200 pounds attacking her. I do personally believe that we should have gun control, but we should also be logical about the facts on gun control and pass stuff that will actually make an effective solution. I thank you for lending me your ears.
Bob Murray.
Bob Murray, 20 Lorry Lane. Thank you, Council and Mayor, for allowing me to speak to you this evening. My subject is also your ability to react to this item on the agenda tonight. And what I would personally like to see all of you do is pull it from the agenda and discard it. And why do I say that? The issue to me is one that we as legislative bodies, whether it's national or local, seem to pass laws. And once we pass the law, we wash our hands and we sit back and say, we solved that one, let's go on to the next one. And that's not the issue here. The issue to me is certainly not gun control. We've done, if you look back in history, we had problems with liquor. And what was that? Prohibition. Did that work? In recent years and for a long time, we've dealt with drug issues. And we put all kinds of laws to respond to drug issues. How's that working for you? It's not, is it? And now we're looking at gun control. And yes, we need to have some elements of gun control, but is that going to solve the problem? The problem is not gun control. To me, it's one word: involvement. And involvement means me. It means all of the people here in the audience, and it particularly means you, Mr. Mayor, and you, council members. You need to be, and we all need to be, involved. We need to work with the school board. We need to work with the police. We need to work with all of the resources we have in West Windsor Township and address the issue around what happened in Florida and what happened preceding Florida. But Florida wasn't somebody who just sat behind a gun, pulled a trigger, and emptied bullets into somebody. It went well beyond that. It went to mental health issues. It went to involvement issues at both the citizenry level and at all of the other levels in the surrounding community, including the law enforcement at both the local and statewide and federal issues. What I would recommend is I'd like to see done is I'd like to see you as council members and mayor sit down at a public meeting with the school board and the school superintendent and the police chief and talk about what do we have in place now? What do we need to do differently? And what's our plan of action to get it done? And do it in front of the public so we're all aware and we can all get behind what needs to be done. So it's involvement. Mr. Mayor, it's your involvement. Council members, it's your involvement. Bob Murray, it's my involvement. And every one of you out here, it's your involvement. Thank you for your time.
Melinda Van Dillen.
Hi, good evening. I want to thank our mayor.
If everyone could just announce your name.
Oh, I'm sorry.
First, I apologize.
That's okay. Melinda Van Dillen, it's 105 Southfield Road in West Windsor. I want to thank our mayor, council president, and members of the Township Council for allowing public comment on the proposed resolution regarding S446. I've heard the objections raised to this resolution, and I appreciate the desire to not be wasteful of time or taxpayers' money. I must, however, respectfully disagree with your position on this matter. The issue of gun violence prevention is something that directly impacts public safety in our community. The proposed resolution in front of you is not without teeth, as it has been suggested. Its teeth are the unified voices of this community. The people and families you represent know that change isn't coming from Washington. It's coming from states and communities like ours. We are fortunate that New Jersey has made it difficult to carry a concealed gun, and many of us in this room like it that way. Senate Bill 446, Concealed Carry Reciprocity, or CCR, which this resolution directly addresses, stands to threaten the public safety that we value. Did you know that 23 states allow concealed carry of guns by people with violent misdemeanor convictions? 19 states don't require firearm safety training, and 12 states don't require a permit or background check. If the Senate passes this bill, these low bars become our low bar. If CCR is the new law of the land, new risks are created. Remember those 12 no permit, no background check needed for concealed carry states mentioned? Some of those issue out-of-state permits. With the passing of Senate Bill 446, New Jersey residents who cannot qualify for a concealed carry permit in our own state would now have a way to legally do just that. Let that sink in for a moment. As elected leaders of this community, I understand that your job is to find practical solutions to everyday problems, to get things done, and I respect and I appreciate that. But what I am asking you to realize and embrace is that you are in a unique position to amplify the voices of the people. Mayors and local governments are on the front lines of public safety. While each of us can and do make calls and write letters, we need now more than ever for our voices to be heard, not just individually, but also collectively, to send a loud and clear message to our representatives. Resolutions like this matter, and they're being passed throughout the state. West Windsor should do the same. I do not feel that this is an ideological issue, it's an opportunity. An opportunity to make the voices of the people you represent heard clearly. An opportunity to take a stand to protect the community you lead. An opportunity to take a leadership position on a matter of public safety for which you are responsible. This is an opportunity to get things done.
John Hillsdale?
Hi, John Hinsdale, 38 Quaker Road, West Windsor. My comments are addressed to the 5 members of council present and to no one else. 5 days ago, late on March 21st, 2018, a West Windsor citizen posted online the advice that we shouldn't spend so much time here because, quote, every hour of council meeting costs the taxpayers between $300 and $400, unquote. Now, $400 an hour comes to $6.67 a minute, which means the 3 minutes I spend up here are going to cost the taxpayers $20. For $20, we could buy y'all lattes for $5 at Starbucks. But I'm going to spend my $20, or I should say, we're all going to spend $20 taxpayer dollars in the next 3 minutes so that this West Windsor citizen can speak in support of tonight's resolution disapproving of the federal concealed carry reciprocity law. Is there anyone in West Windsor that actually wants this reciprocity law? Who wants to have to adhere to the laws of other states that we didn't enact in New Jersey? This is a sovereignty question, not a gun control question. A council member has argued that this resolution is outside town jurisdiction. But jurisdiction refers to enacting and enforcing laws, not expressing views. Since when can a municipality not voice its collective sense on an issue, especially one relating to encroachment on that municipality by other states' governing bodies? Among New Jersey towns, West Windsor is a leader in quality of life, high incomes, education levels, low crime. We are an exemplary community. Why shouldn't West Windsor lead here? But let's be realistic. Council will not be passing this resolution tonight. A majority of this council is simply not given to leading, but rather given to inaction. And we can expect inaction tonight from a majority of this council on this resolution. Some may say we shouldn't even be talking about this here. Sorry, too late. I just talked about it. This $20 is gone and it's not coming back. But fear not, after this meeting, I'll be donating this Jackson, this double sawbuck, to a worthwhile charity, so we won't have wasted $20 just to listen for 3 whole minutes to comments from some taxpayer. And every time someone says council meetings cost too much, the town can spend $20 more to hear, for 3 minutes, that it's worth it. And thank you for listening. Again, my comments are addressed only to the council and no one else. Looks like my time's about up. Thank you for these 3 minutes.
Aleta Ricciardi.
While she's coming up, we want time to listen to everybody. We appreciate the applause, but make it loud but cut it short.
Good evening. I am going to cut my remarks a bit shorter because things were said so well by the others before me. Aleta Ricciardi, 40 Van Wyck Drive, West Windsor. The resolution before you is to carry our voices to support the state and federal legislatures as they oppose the gross infringement on New Jersey's efforts to protect its own citizens from the farce that passes for licensing in other states. If ever there was a states' rights issue, this is the one. Saturday's rally in Princeton, the speaker who got the worst reception was a New Jersey Assemblyman, Roy Freeman. He started out blaming mental illness as responsible for gun violence. But I'll quote a sign that was in there. A lunatic with a gun is a mass murderer. A lunatic without a gun is just a lunatic. I would further point out that women get mental illness, and we don't commit these types of crimes. We are not mass murderers. He then spoke of the, 200 emails he gets from NRA supporters, to which Reverend Robert Moore of the Coalition for Peace Action pointed out that there were 5,000 people assembled in Hines Square right in front of him. Those 5,000 people then started chanting, "Do your job." The objections we've heard have included not wasting taxpayer money. I think we, the taxpayer, are demanding that you spend that money. Gun control not being a local issue. I don't see how we can make that comment when 5 miles down the street, Panera is now closed for the foreseeable future. It is the most proximate local issue when somebody can walk into a restaurant behind me with a gun. These are excuses, and they are very transparent, in my view, as a way of avoiding taking a stand against party doctrine. There were many clever, sad, and angry signs at the various rallies throughout the country and throughout the world. But the one that spoke most clearly to me and most deeply said, "I love my country, but I'm embarrassed by my government." We are asking you to make us proud of our local government. Thank you.
Paul Pitluk. Paul Pitluk.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. My name is Paul Pitluk. I live at 69 Rainflower Lane in Village Grands, West Windsor. Mayor Marate, on our West Windsor Peeps page, which is the online Facebook West Windsor group discussion page, you wrote, and I quote, As mayor, I am also the Director of Public Safety in West Windsor. Given recent shootings in schools, I understand parents are concerned about safety of children in schools in particular and safety of public in general. As mayor, yes, you should be very concerned and do everything in your power to prevent any harmful occurrences from happening here in our neighborhoods. Therefore, as mayor, I believe you should let the United States Senate know that your municipality does not want to support Bill 446, and that New Jersey does not want gun reciprocity. Perhaps your voice will not be heard or acted upon, but perhaps it will. If other mayors in other New Jersey municipalities encourage their councils to draft similar resolutions to keep guns out of our state, we hope it will have an effect. So let's get started. As it's often said, start from the bottom up. Do you hear the people, council and mayor? Do you hear the people? Please get your council, mayor, get your council to draft a strongly stated resolution. The opposition shown on your part regarding this resolution would be better channeled toward formally opposing U.S. Senate Bill 446, thereby further protecting us all. The stance by members of council and the mayor against this common sense resolution is really the example of partisanship. This is not a political issue. This could be life-saving efforts on your part. That's worth a few of your constituents' bucks. I commend the police department on the work they do and have done. I'm proud of our police department and their safety efforts, but one day it may not be enough. Look at what recently happened at Panera's in Princeton. Did we expect that? Thank you.
Andrea Pitluk. Andrea Pitluk, 69 Rainflower Lane, West Windsor, Village Grand. Council, Mayor. I'd like to share an experience I recently had with you. Last Saturday, I walked with over 800,000 people in Washington, D.C., and had an incredibly emotional, inspiring experience. At times I looked around and wondered, as there were people peacefully assembled as far as the eye could see, chanting, "No more, and enough is enough." The creative signs that they held were unbelievable, and the children's speeches were so filled with passion, energy, honesty, and hope. When one student asked how many people ever had a threatening gun-related experience, hands went up all around me. Then a student stood silent for 6 minutes and 20 seconds, the time it took for the massacre in her school. Tears flowed from the eyes of children and adults who listened. Hundreds of thousands of people all over the world marched, supported this movement to stop guns from killing innocent lives. There is hope for change, for kids to play and live without the fear of being gunned down or seeing their siblings or friends die. Our younger generation is not giving up. They have hope for the future, but it's the future. What can we do now, right here? New Jersey has stringent gun laws. They should be kept in place. A reciprocal bill is before the U.S. Senate. It will nullify these laws. It will allow people from other states to bring their easily acquired concealed weapons into New Jersey at will. Our council should speak out and be heard. Our voice does not matter. This is not a red and blue issue. This is a moral issue, as one of the students said, an issue to protect lives.
We need our council to formally oppose U.S. Senate Bill 446 to get a strong resolution to the Senate, no matter how much time it takes, no matter how much of the taxpayers' money it takes. It's doing something. It would be worth it if it can possibly save just one life. At the march on Saturday, this is how the kids voiced their protest to guns, in silence. It was very moving. Thank you.
Richard Kaye.
Richard Kaye, 66 Coneflower Lane. We all know what the resolution is about. We also know what the proposed legislation is that's being debated in Washington. I speak to you as an individual citizen, a parent, a grandparent, a husband, with 44 years as a teacher and building principal, and 9 years a member of an extraordinary school board. The bottom line is, to me, very simple. I'm not here tonight to try to deal with all of the other issues we could deal with about what can we do that we're not doing now, because there is always more that can be done. But that doesn't negate the reality of what you're confronting. There is a major conversation going on in our nation's capital, and I chose to bring information to you tonight, so I contacted the offices of our elected representatives in Washington and Trenton. I wanted to know if it was important for them to hear what local constituents are saying. Unanimously, they said, it's critical that we hear what local people say, because that has the impact on how we vote as representatives of the people who elected us. We may not all agree. I'm not telling you I think one law will make it perfect, and I must tell you what it was like when I was the principal of the high school that first went through the first session of trying to decide how would schools deal with the horrendous moment of somebody with a gun. And they filmed us and sat with the police department, the SWAT teams, and all the rest to go over what we did. We had no idea what we were going to be asked to do. We were told to report to the office, you would get a call, and then we would tape what you did. Afterwards, I sat in a room with all of these people who were very much trained. I was a nervous wreck. I asked a question to the group, and the local police chief said to me, Richard, you know the answer. I knew the answer. My question was, if someone, heaven forbid, came into this school during lunch and there was a gun, could I prevent? He looked at me, I looked at him and said, I know the answers. I can't guarantee. None of us can guarantee that there will not be another person hurt. But everything we can do to reduce the numbers, the potential, the opportunity is important for us to do as a moral, ethical, human issue. I don't care about your politics, what you believe in terms of religion, nationality, and ethnicity. This is life. And I expect that you will let the voice of West Windsor be heard nationally, and if not, I want to know how each of you has taken the stand to say no, and why you said no, because we have a right to know that, having elected you. Thank you.
John Perla.
Hello. Sorry, I'm a bit sick right now. I've been a resident of West Windsor for my entire life. I've been in the school district for 9 years now, and I've always been under the threat of a school shooting. One of my earliest memories of kindergarten is the lockdown drills that we would perform. The loudspeaker would announce that it was a code blue drill, which meant we all had to crowd into the one-person bathroom built into our classroom. classroom and wait in silence for the drill to end. Do you remember the duck hunter scare back in 2012 and to 2013 school year? Because I do. I remember being locked up in a classroom for the whole day in the darkness while our music teacher paced around the room saying she wasn't going to let anyone hurt us if they tried. We sat there just waiting, not knowing anything except that this wasn't a drill. I saw some of my fellow classmates praying and tearing up because they, like me, thought that this would be it. We thought that we were going to die, and no fourth grader should ever have to think of that at school. Gun control is a local issue. We can't wait until the lockdown isn't a drill, until they aren't just duck hunters. I hope that in the future, when I'm an adult, I can think back to this time and remember that West Windsor, my home, was on the right side of history when it came to gun control, that our lawmakers and town council did their best to make it so that no child in this district would ever have to go to school feeling as I did, afraid.
Wayne Tindall.
Wayne Tindall, 1712 Old Trenton Road, West Windsor. I'll be brief. I don't know if we've gotten off track a little bit here tonight. As I understand it, the conversation tonight was going to be about a resolution and not about the full issue of gun control in the United States. Certainly, we all know that the federal government has a huge bureaucracy to deal with these things, and a Supreme Court and an Attorney General. The state of New Jersey has a large legislative body. I worked there 46 years for New Jersey state government in many different facets. And the state of New Jersey also has a legislative body and a Supreme Court. They make the regulations. The local police department supports them. Most of them are in 2C. And the police do a great job of that. West Windsor is by far and historically a gun-safe town, as is most of Mercer County, other than when you get into the inner cities where you're dealing with gangs and drugs. And it just seems to me that if we start doing local resolutions about all these hotbed issues across the country, we're going to be drowned in these things. Last night I went on my computer and I looked up drug statistics, illicit drug statistics, and what it's doing to our kids. And as of 2016, 63,632 young people in this country died from drug overdoses. That breaks down to 5,000 a month, and that breaks down to 1,326 young people a week being killed by drugs. But we're not talking about that issue here. We're talking about gun control. Another 33,000 people died of alcohol-related incidents. So these statistics are from 2016. According to the CDC, they're increasing 18% a year. So what we're doing in the United States is we're just killing thousands of kids from drug overdoses. But that's not even a subject here tonight. And the subject here tonight pales those numbers. And so, just to get back to the resolution, I know everybody on council, I consider you friends. I know the mayor, I consider you friends. I just don't think that we should enter, local government should enter into all these hotbed issues by resolutions and proclamations, because people are going to be coming up to the town council constantly asking you to take up these issues and start writing resolutions. And we're going to make a business out of this. To me, a big threat in this town is, we have recent Mount Laurel decisions on our affordable housing, and that's going to carry into a lot of destruction of our open space, and these are the things we should really be worrying about locally here in West Windsor. Thank you very much.
Sandra Donovan. Sandra Donovan.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. I'm Sandra Donovan, 20 Sapphire Drive, West Windsor. My comment is on the resolution which is proposed against what the U.S. Senate passed for reciprocity for concealed carry permits and in favor of just the opposite in the New Jersey legislature. I'm not here to comment on that issue one way or another, but to encourage those who feel passionately about this issue to contact their duly elected state and federal officials at which level this issue is going to be resolved. And I encourage West Windsor Council to focus on West Windsor business. For example, not too long ago, the courts ruled on affordable housing. Well, how is West Windsor going to respond to that ruling in a way that doesn't break the back of our city safety and services and doesn't throw hundreds, if not 1,000 or 2,000 additional students into our already fully populated school system, destroy the quality of our school system, raise our property taxes? So, bottom line, I encourage West Windsor Council to stay focused on West Windsor business, people who feel passionately about state and national issues to contact those duly elected representatives, and I encourage Council to minimally table this resolution and not get distracted by something that is happening at the state and federal level. Thank you.
Brandi Hebert.
Hi, good evening. Brandi Hebert, 8 Wood Hollow Road. It's great to be back to speak at Town Council tonight. The last time I was here, I was speaking on behalf of La Convivencia, and I was presenting information about from Dr. Sheila Kelly Emerson on community resiliency. And tonight's issue is related to that. The U.S. has always been a bottom-up, not a top-down type of governance, as evidenced by our federal state system, and even in our Second Amendment, far from being simply about the securitization of individuals' right to bear arms, it is a clause to protect the organization of well-regulated militias. Over the last 10-plus years, state and local leaders have been shifting their perspective on what governance means towards understanding this for a number of reasons. And I strongly encourage West Windsor's leadership to also consider or reconsider what true leadership looks like at the local level. More so than ever in our history now, we're living into becoming more closely interconnected with one another. And there's a number of reasons for this. In West Windsor, geography actually plays quite an important role. Centrally located in New Jersey, less than 20 minutes from the PA border, our town is bracketed by no less than 3 major thoroughfares, including I-95 running from Florida to through New Jersey to the Canadian border, 295 coming through PA, and Route 1. Our town hosts a major New Jersey transit hub from Trenton to New York City. We are no longer a small farming community that we were 40 years ago. In fact, West Windsor has expanded into a relatively small town, but that one that is thoroughly transient. It has a distinctly urban inflection, and its diversity is almost cosmopolitan in nature. Ergo, the boundaries, while drawn, are porous. Case in point, the West Windsor Police regularly respond to crises outside of West Windsor, sending police officers to Trenton, Ewing, and recently had 3 officers in Princeton where an armed shooter was engaged in a lengthy standoff at the Panera in Nassau. Our boundaries are porous. We're part of a larger interconnected community fabric. We always have been, we're just coming into understanding this. And Martin Luther King Jr. also understood this, which was how he was able to influence, starting at the local level, and effect just extraordinary change at the federal level with the federal legislation that was enacted in 1964. It started at the local level. So your leadership at the local level matters and can make a difference, which is why I'm advocating for you to certainly consider a resolution opposing Senate Bill 446. I'm looking forward to hearing your respectful civic discussion, and I hope that you can bring it to a vote. Thank you.
Eliana Hebert.
Hello, Eliana Hebert, 8 Hollow Road. If we are the ones for gun safety, then why are we potentially bringing armed resource officers into our schools? I don't think that makes sense. When we are doing such things, we are not thinking them all the way through. And because this is so important, we need to be careful.
Please lower your microphone so people at home can hear you. Thank you.
We need to be careful on our ideas and how we choose to say and spread them to other people. I myself am in school, and it seems as though we do not fully understand the safety of children in our schools. I will admit, nor do I. But if we work together, we can make an understanding of what to do. Thank you.
Tino Diaz.
Oh, hello.
I'm going to try to be short and sweet.
Just state your name and address again for the record.
Tolentino Diaz, Van Wyck, 59 Van Wyck. America's always been a country of immigrants. It's always been a place of love, and everyone has always been embraced here. I am shocked to see the America that we're living in today. I have 2 beautiful children. I came to West Windsor from New York City, growing up there in the 1970s. I cannot believe that America has become what it is today. It is sad. As humans, we all need to come together again. Love each other. I came from a home of parents that love my brother and I. I think that has been lost in America. We need to go back to the roots of what this country was founded on. You know, helping each other out. You know, and it's sad to see what's going on here. And we need to go back to those simple times. And that's what I basically want to say to everyone. Okay? Thank you very much.
Jennifer Kelley.
Jennifer Kelley, 35 Windsor Drive. I wanted to address the council today and give you my personal experience from being a teacher in the Princeton High School over the past month. I've seen our students stand up for their rights and walk out. They did it in a very mature manner. There were lots of very meaningful activities, one of which was a letter writing opportunity to thank fellow students, teachers, and administrators for their service. And I was lucky enough to be a recipient of one of those. In addition, I was also there during the gunman who had taken up time in the Panera Bread. And we were on lockdown all day. We knew what was going on because we had cell phones and whatnot. And even though we stayed inside and our principal came on every 44 minutes and said the situation was standard and had not changed and to move on to our next class and do not go outside. It was seemingly a normal day, except for those announcements. we were allowed to leave the building at the end of the day, and I didn't feel as though things were too different until I got home, and I crashed. I cried. I went to sleep eventually. I slept for 3 hours. It was a tremendous amount of pressure to hold up throughout that day and make sure that I kept a brave face for those students. I never want to be a part of a situation like that again. Having concealed weapons that can easily come over from Pennsylvania, which is really very, very close, is extraordinarily scary to me and affects me every day and my students. Thank you for your time.
Adam Kelly? Okay. I'm going to just I'm going to just list the address. 18 Indian Run, Kani.
Kani Ilangovan, 18 Indian Run.
Hello, thank you.
Thank you. So West Windsor Council, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. Last Tuesday, 3 blocks from my office in Princeton, there was a gunman in Primera. Countless sirens, police cars, black SUVs drove past my office. I saw how grim and worried my patients and coworkers and neighbors were as we exchanged info and wondered whether there were any hostages in the building. I saw how scared the students were, wondering if their lives were in danger. Princeton had always seemed like a safe space, but now we know that it can happen anywhere, including in West Windsor. We worked hard in New Jersey to have more stringent gun control laws, and the idea of Senate Bill 446 passing is terrifying. In 31 states, they do not ban convicted misdemeanor stalkers from owning guns, and 41 states do not force convicted domestic abusers from relinquishing guns they already own, despite knowing that 76% of women murdered and 85% of women who survived a murder attempt by an intimate partner were stalked in the year before the murder or murder attempt. With these kind of idiotic laws, how can any of us feel safe? Please use your power and authority to oppose Senate Bill 446. Thank you.
Bharati Ganesh.
Bharati Ganesh, 8 York Road, West Windsor. Just recently, I read about about a medical professional who has treated victims of mass shootings. The physical impact that weapons fired from an assault rifle can have on the human body are more lethal because those bullets travel at a much higher velocity and can therefore rip internal organs apart. Regardless of one's right to carry a gun, high-capacity magazines and assault-style rifles are intended to kill. That's why mandating sensible gun violence policies such as magazine restrictions and weapon bans are critical. It's not just students like myself who support these policies. A majority of experts and members of the American public also agree that such measures and others, including universal background checks, gun registries, and others, are important to protecting lives. Gun violence prevention is not a political issue because it concerns the right to live. Elected officials like yourselves have a responsibility to ensure that their constituents are provided for and are adequately represented. While filling potholes in a road or funding EMS personnel is part of that, so is supporting legislation that protects my right and the rights of many other students to live a long, happy, and healthy life. Therefore, I plead with you to pass this resolution and serve as a model for other towns in this state and across the country in not being apathetic about gun violence prevention. We cannot consider this issue taken care of just because it is being introduced on a state or national level. Just last week, a man threatened to fire his weapon at the Princeton Panera Bread. This threat is what led my friends at Princeton High School to cower in their classes, wondering if they too would eventually face a cascade of gunfire, knowing that this happens all too often across the country today. I myself have participated in countless lockdown drills in my school, some of which were the result of real threats and some of which were not. The normalization of and legislative inaction surrounding gun violence today is exactly what almost 600 of my peers and I sought to protest at our school walkout 2 weeks ago. West Windsor must stand in support of the proposed NJ state gun violence prevention legislation and in support of students. Thank you for your time.
Debra at 38 Slayback Drive.
It's Wolosky.
Thank you.
Okay. I am up here to support the resolution. I am up here to ask the council to go ahead and pass the resolution. I don't think it's a waste of our time as a town to lend our collective voice in support of sane gun policy. It's that simple. When we speak together, we have a louder voice, and we can act as a model for towns that may not have used their voices like this, and we would also be joining our voices with towns and cities that have used their voices like this. It's important. It's important to show the nation that our town is on the right side of this issue. Other aspects of gun policy can be talked about at another time. I am not going to waste your time with that here. The point here is the resolution. I am wholeheartedly in support of the resolution. I think that it is not a waste of our time here in this council room to go ahead and send that resolution on to the state. Thank you.
Sheila, 1 Berkshire Drive.
I'm gonna pass for now. I'll come back.
Okay. And I have 152 Fisher Place.
My name is Karimanasseri. I am from Penn's Neck, 152 Fisher Place. I thank the council and the mayor for this opportunity. It's really an honor to share my experiences having lived in 14 countries across the world and faced situations involving crises which are unmentionable or even imaginable in this place. I am a conservative by belief, but I am also in favor of severe gun control, being a Canadian and an Indian in origin from India. I believe in peace as a way of life. I believe in give to everybody what you have and share in everything that you have been blessed with. Having said that, I think my conservative fiscal responsibility as an individual with a family and a young kid and 4 parents, both my wife and my parents, to be cared for in their old age, has given me a perspective that every dollar that we save is a dollar earned. And we all have gone through phases of our life in growing, saying that, yes, we are young parents, we are old now, and we have wealth which we want to preserve for the next generation, and how best to do that. I think we all also have faced people in our families where we have battled with unmentionable health issues, which we will not freely talk about, but I am blessed that I've been able to help my immediate family members who have faced severe mental illnesses, not out of their choices, and what that situation could do if there is no tangible help. I think the statistics bear it out, that 1 in 4, at least in the US, is suffering from a serious mental health illness. Let us not fool ourselves by ignoring that big problem in this country. And West Windsor is no immune society from the larger part of this country. 1. The second point I want to focus on is, Second Amendment is a reality. You're not going to wish it away in this generation. How you're going to tackle this issue of violence because of guns in the hands of people with mental health illnesses is a key focus issue for me, as my experience bears out, that the mental health is the critical component of all the violences that we are seeing with the gun misuse or abuse. It's not the presence of guns or the number of guns present in this country that bears to the actual shootings, but the people who got somehow access to those guns, which they should not have, and the sheer breakdown of the law and intelligence community in Parkland. It's just abominable. I can't even believe that it happens in an advanced country like the US. And my focus here is not to criticize the councillor here who brought up this issue, but to say we need to take it elsewhere. Thank you.
Grace Power.
My foot fell asleep. Good evening, my name is Grace Power. I live at 77 Lily Street. This weekend, thousands of us, many people in this room, including me, my husband, my 2 young children, we marched to call for gun control. Over 1 million people marched in this country and around the world to say enough is enough. I want to address some of what we have heard here tonight on the issue of gun control. Few folks opposed to this resolution have brought up some so-called facts. They blame mental illness, but this just is simply untrue. The reality is that more guns equal more gun deaths. Every statistic, every study shows this. Guns don't make us any safer. In fact, they make us less so. The U.S. has nearly 6 times the gun homicide rate of Canada, more than 7 times that of Sweden, and nearly 16 times that of Germany, according to UN data. And it's not that these countries have less crimes, but they have far fewer lethal crimes. So what does that tell us? It's not about the people, it's about what they are using, the weapons they have access to. States with more guns have more deaths as well. And so reciprocity for concealed carry will make us that much less safe. The people in this state have spoken. I think the people in this room tonight are speaking. They don't want to be less safe. They don't want to have more concealed carry. It's utterly just unthinkable to think that we want to go in that direction. And so to not support this resolution just makes no sense to me. But I do want to turn to our local government for a moment and address an issue we haven't really talked about tonight. Most folks in this town are really proud that West Windsor is a nonpartisan town. They view us as a well-educated, high-minded group of citizens, which we are. But they don't realize that we are anything but, and that this government especially is in fact partisan, especially on issues like gun control, as I think you'll all see tonight. So I would like to commend Council Members Aisha Hamilton and Allison Miller for their leadership on this issue. But I want everyone here tonight to watch how every single member on the council votes. I would also like to address Mayor Bharati. You continue to claim online in public forums that we are wasting taxpayer dollars, that this resolution is an utter waste of our time. But clearly taxpayers, including myself, are here tonight, and we do not believe this is a waste of our time and money. Mayor, I also speak for many people in this room who think that, your comments on Facebook, quite frankly, are an embarrassment at times, and you really should be acting more as a leader. Again, this really should be a bipartisan issue, this resolution. It should be a nonpartisan issue, but I think tonight we're going to see that it is not. I will remember how the council votes here tonight, and I think all of the voters in this town will remember how you vote. And I just want to remind everyone that we have a council election this November, and so if you feel strongly about these issues, it's not enough to show up here. You have to show up in November and vote. Enough is enough, and I hope you pass this resolution.
Padma Kranesh.
Someone has spoken for me.
I don't have anybody else signed up, but if there, I was just going to say, if anybody else wants to come up, I can get your signatures then. I just went and checked.
Just got a list.
Grab it.
Andrea Mandel, 46 Ellsworth Drive. In the last few weeks, we've seen people come together in response to tragedy, seeing a problem, working together to come up with solutions. As is usual, we have a common goal, diverse opinions how to get there. As long as we listen to each other and do not shout and bully and stamp our feet and become super partisan, I think we will get there. But these past few weeks, I've seen our town torn apart. Ugly accusations, nasty comments that divert our attention and divide the town. Why? Because some people in the council have been trying to take their ideas about how state or Congress representatives should vote and then try to make a resolution saying that that's how everybody in the town agrees with whether or not they do. And they might, but that's not the issue. These are useless, time-wasting resolutions, and when other members of council or the mayor say we're not going to waste the time in council on useless rhetoric, I've actually seen people say, if you don't want to waste time, then just vote against your principles. Think about that. People saying, oh, it's so easy. Yes, just vote and we will go away. What kind of bullying is this? Is this the type of leaders you want, that as soon as somebody says, well, you know, vote and we'll shut up, they just vote the way you want? What's going to come next? Resolutions for and against abortion? What about pot smoking? How about condemning our U.S. Congressperson, Bonnie Watson Coleman, for being one of the very few votes against the recent school safety bill? There are people that want to do all these things and spend no other time in the town council voting on all these issues. Do we have the time for this? On the planning board, we spend hours reviewing each proposal, as does the paid staff and consultants. I have to think the same for our council people. We need to be very jealous of their time. There's too much to do. I say to members of the council, West Windsor Council is not your bully pulpit, it's not your soapbox. Please stop with the grandstanding on any issues. We need you for the important business of West Windsor. If you're interested in child safety, make sure the police are funded, have directions and tools that they need to protect all of us. If you care about our health, make sure we have a strong health department to check our food and our water. If you're worried about the environment, make sure our engineers and planners have the resources and that they need and back them up when they see problems. If you're worried about taxes, work with the mayor for a reasonable budget. Don't abdicate responsibilities by making useless gestures to the county, state, and federal government by telling them how to vote. It doesn't serve purpose, and it really doesn't get us off the hook when something happens. Thank you.
Eugene Fridkin.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Honorable Council, Mr. Mayor, as you may know, and somebody mentioned this before. Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Eugene Fridkin. I live at 37 Galston Drive in West Windsor. So it was already mentioned, and probably many of you know that on March 18th there was a vote at United States House on a bill called HR 4909. It's called Stop the School Violence Act. And the bill has received overwhelming support of 407 representatives, with only 10 representatives opposed. And I was totally shocked when I found out that our own representative, Mrs. Watson Coleman, voted against this bill. And obviously this bill is very important. Everybody is concerned about what's going on in the country, about all the shootings and violence in schools, and obviously nobody wants this to happen, and nobody wants to see this happening. And what I would like to request is maybe what the resolution is really needed is the one that will implore Mrs. Watson Coleman to vote yes for such bill instead of voting against. It represents really the people of this district who elected her to Congress, instead of making resolutions that have no impact the town resolutions. Also, on a personal note, I want to add something. I heard the student, our high school students speaking here, and I can say that I can totally relate to what he said. I grew up and I went to school during the Cold War, and I went to school on the other side of the Iron Curtain. And I remember how fearful kids were on day-to-day basis because they heard what's going on TV, and they were scared to hear siren one day that they had to run to the underground, to the bomb shelter. And thanks to President Reagan at the time and President Gorbachev, that world is no more. The Cold War is over. But again, these were the people who had the power to make the decision and to solve the situation. So the people who can solve this issue are people who are elected in Congress, our representatives. And those are the ones to apply the pressure for. The Council of West Windsor has been elected to deal with roads, with taxes, with overdevelopment, with local issues. And this is what you guys are elected to do, and please do that. That's all. Thank you.
Tirza Wahrman.
Thank you, Council, and thank you for taking the time to hear us tonight. We heard...
If you could just state your name and your
oh, yes, of course. My apologies. Tirza Wahrman, and I live at 5 Stoneleigh Drive. Don't shoot, but I'm a lawyer, and I actually taught constitutional law. And many, many years ago, when the assault ban was in place, I taught the Second Amendment to a great group of Seton Hall law students up in Newark, and looked at articles. Here's one, How Conservatives Reinvented the Second Amendment, and I'm happy to send you copies, anyone who wants one. The long and the short of it is that bills like the CCR do affect us because we in the state of New Jersey have chosen stricter rules, and we are allowed to do that under our brilliant federal state system. And the Second Amendment, in the view of many legal scholars, and I don't consider myself chief among them, but I did teach this wonderful course, the Second Amendment has been distorted beyond its original meaning. It was intended to apply just to state-run militias. And every Tom, Dick, and Harry who wants to own a gun, whether they are of sound mind or not, does not fall into the category of a well-run militia. This does affect us. We have a right to state sovereignty, and as my colleague, Ms. Power, said so eloquently, what we do tonight is important, and what happens in November is really important too, because this is being turned into a partisan issue, and it should not be. And these are very, very smart people from the mayor on down. I've had the pleasure of working with you in our school district, and I implore you to look at this with nonpartisan eyes and reflect the will of the people here tonight. Thank you.
Andy Bromberg.
I'll thank you for calling me smart. At least that part I agree with.
Andy Bromberg, 24 Providence Drive. My comments are actually directed to the 5 council members. I try to come to the council meeting every few weeks, and I'm blown away by all the support that I'm seeing tonight for the resolution, to approve the resolution. Who did we elect in November? We want you to represent us, and all the candidates that ran against you are in the audience. And I remember, and I know you personally, and I like you personally, but you seem like you're a single issue, and you're sticking with the mayor's position that we can't waste enough, we can't waste time on this.
All it says for you to say yes. Just say yes, agree with the will of the West Windsor people, agree with the will, whatever, or are you guys going to lock, stock, vote what the mayor wants you to vote? Is this a please listen to the people. Please listen to us and surprise me. If not, I believe that you guys the people who won yelled the loudest about Howard Hughes. No new houses, no new houses, no new houses. And you guys won, and I respect you for doing a good job, but this is the most important issue that we will see, and I want to see you guys have an independent voice. Just one of yous have to say yes tonight. Or are you going to be, as Grace said, a partisan bloc? And please listen to the million people, the 5,000 people in Princeton. Please approve the resolution tonight. And the people, please, we're going to remember you. And I have my $20 here to pay. Also, I took it out, but I thought it would be too dramatic. Please vote yes. Please surprise me and vote yes. Well, actually, please listen to the people in the audience and vote yes.
Mark Pepper?
Mark Pepper, 43 Providence Court, where I have lived for the past 26 years. One of the early speakers said we need to be involved. I'm about as involved as I can get, and especially in the last year, more than I've ever been in the previous 25. This is what democracy looks like. This is involvement. I am a member of the Coalition for Peace Action, umpteen other grassroots organizations fighting for a change, including Moms Demand Action, a member of which spoke very eloquently earlier, and I'm very proud of actually, I'm thrilled to see the turnout here tonight. Okay. It is painfully obvious that we are in the midst of a national gun violence epidemic that has reached crisis proportions. We all know it. We also know that the key to solving any problem is determining the root cause. Facts and figures abound. Okay, that prove we need national gun safety standards. We simply have way too many guns, which is clearly one of the root causes of our gun violence epidemic. U.S. per capita gun ownership is at 101 per 100 residents, far greater than any other country in the world. This works out to about 330 million total guns owned in this country, of about 327 million, whatever the statistics are currently. This is a disaster that will continue to happen. It is essential that we both educate and legislate to change the gun culture in the U.S. and to get us all to a safer place. There are numerous advocacy groups for sensible gun safety laws that are working tirelessly on this effort. These groups began forming in the 80s with the Brady campaign. Then in 2000, the Million Mom March. Then came Moms Demand Action and Every Town, in response to the Sandy Hook tragedy in Connecticut. Sadly, our long-needed national gun violence prevention standards have continued to be blocked by the NRA and the resulting inaction by our U.S. Congress, as well as by far too many states who maintain extremely lax gun safety laws, which were discussed earlier. Now we have had Parkland, Florida, and high school students have risen up everywhere, including here, to join the call that enough is enough. It is time for every one of us here today to join this call to action. Private citizens everywhere, sensible gun safety advocacy groups, and elected officials of towns and counties are, in fact, on board. In fact, 19 township councils in Bergen County, New Jersey, including Fort Lee and Teaneck, have joined this call. I have the whole list if you'd like to hear it. In the past year, these 19 towns have passed a resolution opposing U.S. Senate Bill 446, the concealed carry reciprocity bill that we all know about now. And the Mercer County freeholders, in fact, passed a similar bill in April of 2017. It is absolutely appropriate and essential that our West Windsor elected township officials follow the lead of these North Jersey towns and the Mercer County freeholders. I absolutely support the passage of the West Windsor resolution, which in addition to opposing the U.S. Senate Bill 446, supports the 6 sensible gun control bills that passed the New Jersey Assembly just this afternoon, and I was there. With strong bipartisan support, one bill in fact passed unanimously. These bills next must pass in the New Jersey Senate and then be signed into law by Governor Phil Murphy. These 6 bills are absolutely necessary to make the already strong New Jersey safety laws even stronger because learned people have discovered loopholes in our strong... Okay, enough is enough. Thank you.
Peter Perla.
While you're coming forward, everybody, please express your opinion, but if your personal comments have already been said, please say, I agree with such and such, and keep it short. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Council. My name is Peter Perla, 10 Millstone Road. I've been a resident for 14 years. I did not prepare comments tonight, but I must say that I was moved by all the words that I heard spoken in support of this resolution tonight. And I want to start by, commending Councilwoman Hamilton as well as Councilwoman Miller for supporting this bill. I'm an attorney. I sat in my office today. It was a very hectic day, and I finally had about 10 minutes of quiet time. And I opened the resolution, and I read it, and I thought to myself, this is a measured response. It's a measured measure to the problems that are happening in this country. And I felt, how can this be a debate amongst council? How could we sit there and read this resolution and find difficulty in passing what is a very measured approach to the problems that we are facing? And if we sit here and we ignore what's happening in this country, then I guess we are all truly blind. But I think what's important to remember is the voices that came here and spoke today, the children that have spoken out in this country, the voices. I was at the March in Newark in support of gun control measures. I was at the Million Women March. There is a swell in this country of voices that are demanding change. And for the first time in my life, and Mark Pepper said this before, and I don't know Mark, but I want to give him props for it. I sat on the couch for many years and I watched the world go by outside the window and never got involved in politics. After the Newtown shooting, I sat in front of the Board of Ed and I spoke about measures that the school needed to take. And Mr. Mayor, at the time, I believe you were the board president, and a good friend of mine said he wants to sit down and meet with you. And we sat down and we met in McCaffrey's. And we talked about reasonable responses and measures to take. And that's why I felt compelled to come up to the mic tonight to talk, because that person that I met in McCaffrey's, I want to see the same person now, as mayor, where you take a stand and you take an approach and you support what is absolutely a resolution that needs to pass, but more importantly, a message that needs to be sent. The words are out there, the voices are out there. And it is true, if you don't listen to the voices today, then come November, changes will happen on this council. I can assure you. I have not missed an election since Donald Trump got up and sat at the Republican debate and spewed hate, and my 14-year-old son came to me and asked me questions about what was one of our potential leaders talking about. I am not sitting on the couch anymore. I am up. My voice will be heard. I will be voting along with a lot of other members of West Windsor. But just stop and pause and forget about politics. And remember the people that spoke today. My son, after I read the resolution today, and I know I'm limited on my time, I read my son's speech because he was sick today and didn't think he'd be able to deliver it. And I sent an email to my ex-wife and I said, I don't think I can read this for him because I don't think I'll be able to say these words without crying. This is a 14-year-old child that should never have to live in fear. All of the kids. And they are here today, and their voices are here, because they expect council to act and pass this resolution. Thank you for your time.
Not speaking together?
So my name is Shin-Yi and my husband Matt Weber. We live at 8 Harrison Lane in Princeton Junction. We have 3 children who are 1, 4, and 6, and we are here also to speak strongly in favor of passing this resolution. We have been coming to council meetings off and on for the last year or so, and this is like seriously the most I've ever seen people here, and I feel like that is saying something. And the person before us spoke wonderfully, so I'm just going to skip most of what I'm going to say and just say at the end that a lot of what has brought us to council meetings more often recently is probably what also brings you guys into government, local government, is that you guys are trying to work so that the world is that this place is a better community and neighborhood for our kids. Especially once you become parents, it really drives you that you want to do things for the kids. And I feel like recently it's been very clear in the last couple of weeks that our children are trying to tell us something. And, you know, they're not saying that that they know what the best solutions are, but they do want us to say something and to support them in their messages of, look, we're not the people in power, go and do your job. So if you guys are there to help do the right thing for your kids, then just listen to the kids. I think the kids are telling you what you need to do. Thank you.
Anybody else wish to speak?
My name is Ted Ross. I live at 131 South Mill Road. I rise in support of this resolution. I've been a resident of West Windsor for over 20 years, and I just have a personal story to tell. 4 years after moving into the town, I decided I would like to have a permit to purchase a gun. So I applied to the West Windsor Police Department. They invited me in, they interviewed me, they fingerprinted me, they asked for me to provide references, which I did. They then obviously did some things in terms of background checks and other things that are required under the law. I was invited back some months later for a follow-up interview, and about 6 months after that, I was given a permit to purchase a gun. I should say I never actually purchased the gun, but at least I have that permit. But it really made me feel very comfortable that we had this process in place to vet people who want to own a gun. I should also say, as a kid, as a teenager, I grew up in a household with guns. I went hunting, and before I could go hunting in the state of New Jersey, I was required to take a gun safety course, which was pretty extensive, required multiple nights at a class and an exam. It also made me feel pretty good that in the state of New Jersey, we had these measures in place to protect us. So I am absolutely appalled by the idea that the lowest common denominator state, which it might be Texas or West Virginia, I've heard Pennsylvania described, can inflict their standards on us. That we, as citizens in New Jersey and in West Windsor, are on a race to the bottom here. I feel really good of what our town did in terms of the vetting process for me. I would hate the idea that it's a wasted effort for the next resident in town who wants to get a permit. And so I implore the members of this council, particularly the members who are on the fence about supporting this resolution, that we need to send a message that we want our town to continue in the way that we have in the past, being diligent and respectful of the laws in place in the state of New Jersey, and we shouldn't waver in that. Anyway, thank you.
Hello, my name is Ying Chao, Dr. Y.C. Zhang, 3 Windsor Lane, West Windsor. I support the resolution. I will try in the next 3 minutes to convince all the council members to support it. And here is my rationale. Now, I think we all know in true Democrats, it's never black and white. There's always gray area. I think it only happens when you have 100% vote in a country like North Korea, right? When they elect the president 100%. So, but in some situation, like speaking, listening to the audience and also hearing the cheering from both sides, it's clear to me statistically, we have 80% plus supporting, 20% minus not supporting. Now, if we project that to the township, I believe if you do a survey, hypothetically, it's a judgment call, of course. My judgment is that we will have 80% plus residents in this township support this resolution if we do a virtual survey. So based on that, I think this is, whenever you have 80% plus support, this is where I believe so-called common sense can be made and common ground can be built. So this is the moment we can all come together, right? So we have lots of dispute, a lot of issues that we can debate and discuss, but point in the case in history, we have had to come to conclusions and supporting the same goal more than once. For example, last year about Harvard Hughes, every candidate expressed their displeased with the proposal. The only difference is some are more radical, some are more modest. So I hope this is the same situation. Second example, another town council meeting sometime last year when there was a proposal about similar bill in a hard government about election reform. And I remember back then, Council Bharati, you were the councilman at the time, you made a statement to say, look, this bill is not going to directly impact our town, but I'm going to pass it because I support it. So I think this is what I want to see today with the council women in the seats, that yes, you may have a doubt this how much impact this is going to have, but if you personally support the resolution, I hope you voice your independent judgment and vote. And this is something I think you will see from the audience and from the township and where the common ground is. And I hope you support it. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak?
Seeing nobody, there are a lot of people who haven't spoken. If you want to stand up and say, vote yes, and sit down, that would be fine. If you don't want to do anything, that would be fine too. Anybody want to make a demonstration?
Vote yes on the resolution.
Yes.
Can you hear us?
Yes. I think we heard you loud and clear. I don't know if it'll come over on the microphone, but I sure heard you. Thank you. Now, I know everybody here really wants to find out what we're going to do. And to save you all, sorry, Joanne, I would like to have a motion to change the order of the agenda and deal with this issue now.
So moved.
This is a very emotional issue. People are high. I would at least like to get Joanne off. I've always insisted that the paid employees who are on clock needs to be dealt with first. So I would request you to introduce the budget.
Well,
that will also take 2 minutes if you want to.
There's a motion pending.
Come on.
So I made the motion. If someone wants to second it, great. If not, then we'll move on with Joanne.
The chair will second. I would like a vote. We will not be eloquent, we will not be long-winded, we will simply vote. If we vote no on this, then the issue will still be taken up later in the meeting, and everybody will just stand around. So could we please vote on moving this forward?
Alison, just a clarification, you put it under new business. I emailed to ask for clarification, you never responded. New business is usually not for vote, just for talking. Why is it under new business?
This is the discussion which we can have if we move this forward to now. So can we move it now?
So I moved it, you seconded.
All right, this is
This is really bullying, I'll tell you. This is bullying.
the council, not you. The council should speak, not the mayor.
Paul,
Well, the mayor gets to speak just as in deliberation with council. He just doesn't get to vote. But please, let's do this in an orderly
thank you very much.
fashion, and
I've got a motion and a second. I want to do the roll call. Bari? No. Jeevers?
We didn't have any discussion.
No, she's asking to move it to right now.
move it and get
The mayor
over
has
it now.
asked to allow Joanne to speak first, so if
So
you
this is, so Bari?
She already voted.
She already said no.
Jeevers?
Yes, let's discuss it now, so yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Manzari?
No.
Miller?
Yes. Let's
Motion
discuss it
carries.
now.
No, you need 4 votes to change the order of agenda. This is, you need supermajority to change, supermajority to change order of
So
agenda.
we can play these bullshit political games, or we can just address the issue. Please be respectful.
What is going on is equally bullshit.
I do
Okay.
not
And-
believe we need 4 votes, a supermajority, to change the
Let
order
our
of the
council
agenda.
speak on it.
I have been on this council for almost 13 years, and we certainly never mentioned that before. Mike, you're the parliamentarian, right or wrong, it's your decision.
I believe it's a majority.
Okay, so, to address what the mayor said, I put this under discussion so that we could talk about it, rather than having it mixed in with the other routine matters. I had no idea we were going to have this overwhelming number of people. I have been on many councils where, when there's an overwhelming number of people, we change the order of agenda so that that number of people can have their issue dealt with up front. I would point out that the issue that one of the commentators referenced, the one on money in politics and finance, campaign finance reform, was likewise listed as under discussion and had to take 2 votes, one to put it on the agenda and one to pass it. So what I'm doing is not only not unprecedented, it is precedented with members of this council, except for Ms. Manzari, who was not on council at the time. So that's what I did, and that's why I did it. So if we can get to the substance, I would like to start with Ms. Hamilton, go down the, I will speak last, go down the council, the mayor will join the debate, we will each speak, we will then hear and see if we have a motion to add it to the agenda. If we do, we will then vote. If we do not, then it's gone, and we will go on to Ms. Loth.
I would like to make a motion to postpone this indefinitely.
I second.
Well, that's out of order.
No, it's not.
So,
We actually have a motion that passed, so we need to fulfill the objectives of that motion. Am I right, Mike, or no?
so let's go down.
Wait.
No, that's not correct.
Wait, now,
It's not correct.
if you want to either follow, then you follow. When the motion is made and seconded, that's the motion on the table, and that is the motion that needs to be debated first.
Right.
Yes.
All right, but we need to debate that motion. So we will start with Ms. Hamilton, and we will do the same thing that we would have done had that motion not been made.
Thank you, Council President. thank you for all being here. I think looking out over this room, I don't think I've ever seen this many people in the room, but what this says to me, this is what West Windsor is about. This is West Windsor's heart. And I want to tell you, over the past weeks, many of you in the room, not in the room, maybe watching at home, have reached out to me to express concerns about the issue of gun violence in our town. And I've assured you that we have a really great town. We have a safe town. We have an incredible police department, and we heard from our police chief today. But what's clear to all of us is that towns that look just like ours are feeling the pain of gun violence. We're talking about towns in Connecticut. Parkland, Florida is just like West Windsor. Same type of schools, same type of people. We don't get to, Princeton, New Jersey, we don't get to ignore this anymore. And it is a local issue because the violence is happening at the local level. The violence is not happening in Congress in Washington, it's happening in our schools. And our children have spoken. So I've been criticized for wasting time. I'm not sure that this resolution alone is going to make a difference, right? The marches in Washington and Philadelphia and New York City and Princeton alone don't make a difference. The postcards that we write and the phone calls we make alone do not make a difference, right? But collectively, this is how change happens. And we don't get to ignore our responsibility to participate in that change. I'm not okay with the fact that we are 19 years from Columbine and we still have gun violence in our schools. We're 11 years from Virginia Tech and we are still looking at gun violence. We are almost 5 years from Sandy Hook and that's still gun violence. Something's got to give. Something's got to change. And maybe what we have to do is look at how to do this differently. We haven't done this before at the grassroots level. So grassroots is where it's at right now. We need our voice, collectively, all of our voices, together with other towns to make this difference. And frankly, I don't think that's a waste of my time or your time or this council's time.
Linda?
Oh, okay. Well, I missed the last meeting. I was away on vacation, so I spent some time trying to talk to different people about this issue. And there were so many very, very good comments tonight. Many people were for the resolution, some people were not. Some people were concerned about council taking, this issue up. There's many issues to this whole gun violence issue. It's almost like an octopus with different tentacles. There's the age of people that get guns, the kinds of guns that should be allowed or not. There's mental illness type of component to all this. So there is a lot. To speak just to this resolution, yes, I think that the S-446 it is a good bill and what it says. If there's a need for reciprocity laws or different laws, then it should be the strongest laws. Maybe they should reflect what we do in New Jersey and have a very, very high standard. I'm not sure, sometimes with this, because council really hasn't discussed where are we going with some of these national issues, whether it's this, what's next, the immigration debate or the marijuana. I'm not sure, we have to kind of work through it. Is it just one bill and we're done? When we could have had 6, 7, 8, 9 bills before us every single week to look at. So are we cherry picking this one bill? Or is the next time the next meeting we have another bill, and like, when does that end? Is that what we're expected to do every single meeting, spend a lot of time on that? There are a lot of people who expressed to me that this council needs to be focused, particularly on the affordable housing decision that came down. Different things like that. I'm not saying that we shouldn't spend any time on this at all, but I'm just saying that there are some differences of opinion about where council should spend its time. So I'm just here, to listen to my colleagues, and then we'll take a vote, but I don't know, this is just one resolution that's at the U.S. Senate right now. So it should we be discussing some sort of resolution or a letter that collectively this council should write to express a lot of different things about all this gun violence, or is it just, well, we're doing this one tonight, but what about the other things, like, that deal with mental illness and different things in guns? I don't know. That's something that this council has not discussed together as a group. So that doesn't mean that I couldn't write a letter or couldn't vote for this tonight, but I'm just saying, where are we going in terms of this big picture issue? Is it just one and done? I don't think so. I think the issue is so much broader. So anyway, I will listen to my colleagues.
Virginia.
Thank you. So Allison, I was a little stunned when you said you were surprised that so many people showed up tonight, when you actually emailed them asking them to come show up tonight and speak on behalf of this resolution. I would like to thank Chief Garofalo for coming tonight, and I'd like to thank the entire West Windsor Police Force for all of their efforts to keep us safe, not just now, but always. I'd also like to address some of the comments that were made in support of the resolution. So I can hear in your voices, not just in your words, that you're scared and you're frustrated and you want somebody to take action, and I understand that. I think a lot of people are scared, particularly when something like this affects our kids or happens in our schools. People are understandably afraid for their families and their kids. My kids are in high school now, but when they were in elementary school, I was asked by the principal to work along with another parent on increasing school security. And we worked with the former superintendent, township officials, both counties. We even talked with someone at the state. And some of the measures that we have in place in the schools today are the result of that push for increased security in our schools. So when I heard of the resolution and the resolution that we talked about 2 weeks ago at that council meeting that talked about the 6 specific resolutions that came before the New Jersey Assembly, I called a couple of friends of mine who are in law enforcement who are very knowledgeable about both guns and about the law, because I don't have that expertise. And it was an eye-opening conversation. It turns out that in New Jersey, you can have 2 similar guns that do the same things, and yet the scary-looking one is illegal. And the one that looks less scary but does the same thing is legal. So think about that for a second. That's existing law in New Jersey. And it's just one example of what happens when laws are passed just so politicians can look like they're doing something because people are upset and angry. For a day, a politician looks pretty good, but nobody is safer. So as I had this conversation with my friend in law enforcement, I realized very quickly that, number one, I know very little about this very complex issue, and number two, what I do know of existing New Jersey law is that it has some serious flaws. Now, Congress and the New Jersey legislature have heard testimony on this subject, because those people have to actually vote on this issue, and they've discussed it for hours, if not days. Yet we have been asked to support or oppose legislation without having heard any testimony or having any expertise in this area. We also have no jurisdiction in this matter, so any vote that we would take would hold no legal consequence. Now, knowing some of the problems with the laws that New Jersey has previously passed, I am not willing to support or oppose any of their new bills without fully understanding them. And they could be the greatest pieces of legislation ever written, or they could be the worst.
And if I were to take the time necessary to learn their jobs, the legislators' jobs, I would have no time to do my own council member's job. So let's talk about a council member's job for a second. Having just gone through the beginning of the township budgeting process, I can tell you that there is a lot of room for improvement there. I've worked on a number of budgets before. And Jodica and I are actually working on ways to improve that budgeting process so we can, moving forward, we can have a more streamlined, more efficient process. And I know that Linda and Allison are going through the Township Code Book and looking at every single local ordinance and looking to see if any of our existing ordinances need to be updated in some way. So that's a big part of our job, budget ordinances. Some other things. West Windsor was just given a really big number of affordable housing units that we're going to be responsible for, and we have to figure out how to deal with that. It could have an enormous impact on our community. And we also need to work on improving our commercial tax base to offset any negative impacts there. Many of you have pointed out to us that our roads and our sidewalks are falling apart. These are all things that we were elected to do, things that this governing body is required to handle and that we do have jurisdiction over. They are responsibilities that we wouldn't have time to do if we were trying to do someone else's job. That's why it doesn't make sense for this council to be spending its time and its resources on issues over which we have no control. It doesn't mean those issues aren't important. It doesn't mean that we don't care about them. We simply don't have the jurisdiction over them or the expertise to make pronouncements about them. And Linda is right. This won't be the last one. There'd be another one next time, and another one next time, and another one next time. And soon, all this council will be looking at is national issues over which we have no control, and we're only expressing an opinion that has no legal validity. And so I recommend to you that you make your voices heard at the State House. Talk to the people who actually have a vote on these matters. If they don't pass laws that actually do protect us, then vote them out of office. Hold those people accountable for their jobs. And finally, I would like to ask Ms. Hamilton to refrain from posting snippets of my comments as out-of-context sound bites on Facebook, and in order either to make me look bad or herself look good. It's divisive, it does nothing to promote understanding of differing opinions, it's unprofessional and unbecoming of a West Windsor councilwoman, and it really needs to stop. So if you would like to post something about this discussion tonight, please post my comments in their entirety, and I will be happy to email them to you. Thank you.
Jodica.
This isn't about sensible gun laws because I believe that we need them. It isn't about concealed carry reciprocity because I do not want Congress to pass that bill. This resolution is about voting on something that we have no control over. It's about focusing our time and energy on things we know little about. As parents of school-going children, we're all terrified for our children's safety. Who won't be? We all stand alongside each other and walk together as a community, not for personal profit, but to help make our schools and communities safer. But this is not the forum to address these worries. As locally elected officials, we have no vote on state or federal laws. That doesn't mean we don't care about them. This is a valid position and one that our township attorney agrees with. My fellow council member has no right to condemn me and misrepresent my viewpoint as she has done on social media simply because it's different from hers. Even Ms. Bonnie Watson-Coleman, our own congresswoman from the 12th Congressional District, recently voted against school safety legislation because she did not think it appropriate. Did that mean that she was against sensible gun control legislation? No, it did not. Did that mean she didn't care for the safety of our school-going children? No, it did not. Did that mean, I wonder if Ms. Hamilton would criticize Congresswoman Coleman for her vote like she criticized me for my opinion. Should this council consider a resolution denouncing Congresswoman Coleman's vote? After all, she's our elected representative. In difficult and emotional times like these, more than ever, we need to keep clear heads. As council members, we need to be mindful of what we can and cannot control. And we have to remember what our responsibilities are and continue to do the job for which we were chosen. And that is what I intend to do. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you all for coming. I don't come with prepared comments, I write them as I hear your comments. So I have rather long comments, so please bear with me. I wish the gentleman who spoke last, the one in the black sweater, was still here, because I was trying to figure out the best way to demonstrate where I stand. And what he said is the best way to demonstrate. He met me, unfortunately I don't remember his name, but few of them met me after Sandy Hook massacre. We met at McCaffrey's, as he said. We spoke for a long time, and we discussed the issues over the next several weeks. So I would have liked to ask him, if he was here, how many resolutions did the school board pass after that? And I would like to ask Mr. Kaye, how many resolutions in 9 years as a president of school board did I pass? I would get one resolution like that every month to pass. I could have passed it to just make me look good, but that was not the rule of the school board. But as president of the school board, I did do as much as I could to make the schools safer. We did institute policies, we did change policies, we did talk to the police to make the schools safer. You don't need resolutions to do your job. So I wish he was here, but he gave me an opportunity to demonstrate exactly where my position is on this. I was listening to CNBC last week, and to explain the market gyrations, one of the commentators said that the market always likes to test the new Fed chief, and as you know, we have a new Fed chief. I feel like that. As a new mayor, first with 4 snowstorms. Thankfully, with DPW and police help, I managed that. And now, with Miss Hamilton and Miss Miller, want to test with the resolution of the month. You are all here for the first resolution, but this is not the first. This is the third resolution in 2018. One was withdrawn, the second one was at the last meeting, and this is the third resolution. I can manage that because I'm not going to change my opinion. But this is from the same people who, along with Mr. Mendones, would not let me put one resolution on the agenda for discussion, let alone have a vote on it, when I was a fellow council member. They consulted Mr. Herbert. Mr. Herbert gave an opinion that the resolution doesn't belong because the council has no standing on the matter. They grabbed that opinion and wouldn't even allow a discussion on that matter. So what a change now is only that the resolution is being proposed by them, not by somebody else. I will respect you a lot even if you disagree with me, if you're consistent. Paul never agrees with me on one political issue, but he is always consistent. I will always respect him, whether I agree with him or not. When you keep changing your positions based on whether it suits you or doesn't suit you, that is the definition of politics. And that is what has made this country a mess, both in DC and in Trenton. If somebody does something and you like him, we can ignore him. If the same thing is done by a person whom you don't like, all hell breaks loose. So at least be consistent. And I've always tried to be consistent. And that's why I told Miss Allison to take this thing first, because from January 1st, I've told them I will never let, they are all on clock, I will never let a township employee just sit here waiting for council to debate issues that are not related to those people. Not finished. I have 7 pages, so you have to pay.
7 pages?
Yes.
Cut
I
it
typed
short.
them on.
I mean, really, he must, please cut it.
Miss Allison states, I'm on page 3, so don't relax. Miss Allison states that she will allow this resolution, but when Miss G was bought, whether she will allow her to discuss marijuana, which Miss Jiva's interest is in that, legalization, Allison said, no, I won't allow that. That is a double standard that she will have to explain to the voters. Why choose one and not the other? Actually, it's as relevant to us as anything else. As society, we face many problems, and if you want to get real solutions, you have to live in real world. For those who suggest that resolutions have power, please tell me why nothing has happened on affordable housing resolution, when every mayor in town, whether Democrat, Republican, is yelling at the governor, requesting the legislature to take up the matter and do something about it. A resolution was mentioned here about the money in politics. That resolution, Ms. Hamilton got a few people to present that resolution here. I was neither the mayor nor the council president. I had no control over it. Just to save time, I was the one who moved it and passed it, because I knew it was just making us feel good. What's the result? Next election was bought by money. The next election of governor in New Jersey was bought. It's not a comment about whether Murphy is a good governor or not governor, but you will, if you are honest, you will have to admit that money is what resulted in somebody winning that election. So what a great effect that resolution that we passed had. Ms. Powers, who is very active in local politics in West Windsor, said that this is not a political issue. And in the very next statement threatened to vote everybody out who doesn't support that resolution. I find that suggestion very offensive, that if you don't vote for what I believe in, you're partisan. And if you vote for the way I believe in, that's not partisan. That is the kind of thinking that has made a politics a mess. Not only you, but few other people came up and said essentially the same thing. I have never made a decision based on whether it will get me or lose votes. And I'm not about to start now. And that kind of bullying was tried on solar farm, that kind of bullying was tried on Conover Road path. I don't fall for that. I do what my conscience tells me, what I think is the right decision to do, and then it's the decision of the voters what kind of government they want. That's the same kind of politics was tried last November, and the voters in West Windsor clearly said they don't want that politics in West Windsor, and I really want to thank them for that. So, this debate is not about gun control. This debate is about the role of local government and what are our functions. You can disagree with my position, and I appreciate that position and your opinion. What I find troubling and offensive is the suggestion that if you don't pass this resolution, you are somehow for gun violence. I find that troubling, considering that many people in this audience I call my friends. And to those, I will quote what I wrote to one of Ms. Hamilton's supporters who emailed us last week. So I'll just read directly from my email. First, let me address your comment, all politics is local. Unfortunately, it's very true in that local politics are being played like the state and national politics, which is not a good thing. I sincerely hope that the decent people of all small towns will see it for what it is. It's unfortunate that you insinuate that by not supporting the resolution, we are supportive of accessibility of assault weapons and in the pocket of NRA. That is a perfect example how dirty politics is and how national politics are being played at local level. That is drawn conclusions that are completely unsupported by facts. It is dragging decent, honorable people through mud to fit your version of the story. That is the most disappointing part of all politics local angle. Make no mistakes about it. Me and other council members are being dragged through mud with suggestions and innuendo, and that should not happen. To those who take offense with my comment that each council meeting costs $300 to $400, that is very true. Those are real dollars out of our pocket. Last year, the council blew through their annual legal budget in 9 months. If the practice of discussing unrelated matters at council meeting continues, the council will run out of the budget much sooner. This is real money that can be used productively. Both in my individual capacity, I oppose reciprocity and support every sensible gun measure being discussed, not only at the federal level, but at the state level as well. Like many of you, I was at the march, and every member of the council was at the march at West Windsor. So it's not that we don't support gun control measures. Mr. Kaye asked me to explain why you would vote against the resolution. Let me answer him directly. I am not against the content of the resolution, so I would recommend the council do the same thing that Mr. Herbert suggested previously, not take up the resolution that is completely unrelated to the business for which they were elected. Sometimes the right choices are the most difficult choices. In life, I have always chosen what I believe is the right choice for the job I was elected to do, no matter how hard the choice is. I am aware that people with unkind intentions will use this issue to paint a negative picture of me. I stand by my assertion that using council position and taxpayer money to promote one's personal preferences is both bad policy and bad politics. I strongly urge the council members to do the right thing and vote to table this resolution and any future resolutions over which the council has no control.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Well, I'd like to thank everybody for speaking their opinion, mostly about process rather than content. But I'm going to address both. First of all, regarding the question of if we take this resolution up, we're going to take other resolutions up. You all are wonderful thinkers, but you're terrible telepaths. It doesn't work that way. Several of you have urged that your statements not be taken out of context. Please don't make up statements that you can then put in an inappropriate context. There are many other issues of importance and that are very emotional, that are in front of legislative bodies at the federal and state level, but none have evoked the emotion and the grassroots action in the last few weeks that this one has. There's no other issue, not abortion, not marijuana, not campaign finance reform, that has galvanized people, especially young people, to march, to comment, to write letters, to implore their local legislators and state legislators to move on this issue. This is different, and I think we've seen a proof of it today. Somebody said, well, why should I be surprised that there are so many people out here, because I ask people to come out and speak before every council meeting. Yes, I do, and you don't see them like this. I keep trying. I haven't seen a crowd this big since the Village Grand objected to the Township returning performance guarantees when they had a lot of dissatisfaction with some of the physical appearance of their community. And I thank the members of the Village Grand who were here, even if you didn't make that meeting. It was important. So I would like to express my feeling about this movement. It is a grassroots movement. It is starting from individuals. It is going through your local elected officials. It is going up through your state officials. It is going to your federal officials. What else can you do? Yes, you can write letters individually, but we have heard from people who did the research, calling them from our own township attorney, that our elected officials listen to other elected officials because we were elected to speak to you and to speak for you. So let me tell you a little bit about this council. The way it works in West Windsor, this is a forum. Anybody can come here. We meet every other week through most of the year, a little less in the summer. And this is where the people can speak up in West Windsor. That's not exactly the way the people who made up this form of government thought it would come out, but that's the way it is. So this is appropriate. This is the appropriate place for West Windsor people to express their opinions and to expect their elected officials to reflect those opinions. This is your forum. This is our forum. We are the grassroots, and grassroots can bring change. And this debate is about gun control. It's about expressing the way you feel. I think that this business of reciprocal concealed carry is a terrible, terrible idea. I think it goes against everything that we believe in terms of the people telling their representatives what they want, voting for the representatives who reflect them, and expecting our federal government to protect us and to respect us as localities. This bill S446 goes against all of that. And I would urge everybody to pass the resolution which says simply, we don't like it. Please don't vote for it. That's what the resolution says. It says we support sensible gun control in New Jersey. How can we not say that if we are grassroots activists? Yes, we do a lot of other things up on council, but we have been emailed the legislation. We have read it. I've heard about some federal legislators who don't read the legislation they vote for and just look at an executive summary. We're ahead of the game. I urge my fellow council people to move, to second, to vote, to put this on the agenda, and then vote to pass it. Thank you.
I would like to vote to table this motion.
Virginia has already
That's already a motion on the table.
on the table to table this, which I have urged that we vote against, but we have now debated that motion, and it's time for a roll call vote on tabling this resolution, which means, as Ms. Manzari doesn't want to defeat it, it means putting it off indefinitely.
And Madam President, a yes vote means table, a no vote means not table.
Precisely.
Right. I mean, it's
That's
a statement that you're not against the content of the resolution, you just don't think it belongs to the council agenda.
Just not for us to vote for.
It is a statement which says, whatever my reasons, I don't want to deal with this.
Yes, well, we can't pick and choose resolutions that we put on the agenda, like you are doing.
I'm sorry,
Every
who
council
seconded it?
president has done that. Yeah, Bari seconded it, Manzari moved it.
I didn't yet, but yes, I second it.
Burry?
From before.
Yes.
Jeevers?
Abstain.
Hamilton?
No, I don't vote to table this.
Manzari?
Yes.
Miller?
No.
Motion fails.
Do I have a motion to put this on the agenda?
So moved.
The chair will second. Let us vote on this.
Allison, can we still, one point though, okay? And this is the problem, that I think this full council can support what this says, but it's how we pick and choose. And when a gun safety bill by our own Congresswoman gets knocked down, why was this not on the resolution? What is the process for what is going to be put on and not? Is it just
whoever
It's
wants to
whatever
post
Allison and I should want. It's not going to be marijuana. It's not going to be, not going to be any liberal issues. You cannot move forward on
You do not have the floor. 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 And this business of telepathy, if you do this, the council president will do this, is just ridiculous.
Based on previous experience,
And
Allison.
it is far ruder than anything posted on Facebook.
Linda, you
So
can always...
therefore,
I understand.
Linda, I have the floor. I am the chair. Once in a while, I keep the floor. Linda, what you are saying is, can I amend the resolution to say what I want? And you certainly may amend it to say whatever you want. That is the process when there is a resolution with text you only partially agree with.
It's not that. I think it's well-written. And I think fundamentally that this council supports what's in this, okay? Problem has been, it's like, why just this? And how are we deciding what we should be doing? All right? Why is gun school safety not an issue? Was there any votes at the school board level? Was there anything brought up here? Are we just picking and choosing? I think this is a very important bill, yes. But is there more that we should be doing, or more that we could have done?
Linda, would you like to propose an amendment?
It's not quite an amendment to this, but it's just, if you want to have a resolution or a letter from all of us, and the mayor supporting certain things, then maybe it's just not one single piece of legislation.
Melinda, why don't you amend to...
I hear you, it is a start.
Then why don't you amend to...
You know, this is the first thing you're talking about.
Condemn Bonnie Watson-Coleman for voting the way she did.
Well,
Do you want to propose a resolution amendment?
I think we're a little out of...
No.
You just got to keep it
on the table.
Yes, there is a motion on the table, and we're still working through an issue, because this is the first time council is discussing this particular resolution, okay? It's the first time, and we're trying to get through a very complex issue. And is it just this, you vote, and then what? What about everything else? Should there be a resolution that expresses a lot of the different things, whether it's the gun reciprocity issue, whether it's the mental health issue, and a whole bunch of things connected to the whole gun issue. Well, we don't want an issue every single week, okay? It's already 9:30, we haven't even, besides this business, haven't gotten to anything else that we need to do. Okay, so every single meeting, we're not going to spend 2 to 3 hours on debating all of this.
No,
Because
we're not.
Because we never discuss what we really should pass a resolution on, and discuss the issue, and then
Linda,
go down
would
the
you
list.
like to
So
have,
that's
in
all I'm
the
saying. That's all I'm- that's the problem.
saving
Yeah, that is,
time,
you know,
would
so
you
we'll just-
like us to have a work session with far fewer staff where we can discuss what we want to discuss? And in the interest of courtesy, would you please stop assuming that you know what other council people are going to consider important enough to put forward as resolutions?
I
won't
don't
assume.
know.
I know what
The
you
mayor
want,
said he's
you
not
won't
against
assume
the resolution. It was more just like, this is the
But
first night
putting
we're
it
talking
forward
about
as
it,
a
and what should it
resolution
say?
is more specific than saying against
I don't
what's
have
in it.
tonight another written resolution, because I'm listening to the public, and this is the council, and we're trying to work through this. And so there is concern about just this one. I think actually people would be okay with it. They just don't want every single time we turn around, there's a dozen resolutions on gun control here, and then there's 6 over here. And, you know, how are
agree
we
with you
going
that
to
we do not
process
want to
all
have
that
a
and deal
dozen
with all that in the best
resolutions
way
on
that we
anything.
can?
And I can say, I can obviously say this many, many times, that I have no intention of putting many, many resolutions like this, or even another one right now, on this council agenda.
What about the resolution to make West Windsor a sanctuary city, which was proposed before, and you would have put on?
Actually,
What do you mean I would have put on?
Conditions were made.
You said not a telepath. You don't know
I'm basing it on what you said.
have put on.
I'm basing it on what you told me, why you would put it on.
I did not put any such thing. I'm saying sanctuary city.
And actually, the
of
proposal
any
was
sort.
Let's focus on local issues. That is what we are elected to do.
And that is local. However, it's time
That we don't have
to
jurisdiction
vote.
over, sir.
It's time to vote. It's time to vote.
Can we, all right, it is time to vote, but can we agree on something, some process, whether, if it's put, anything else is put on new business, anything, could be another topic, could be guns, marijuana, immigration, whatever, that we can at least, on some of these contentious issues, talk about it first, reflect, and then at a different meeting, if there's consensus to move forward.
Didn't we already do that last?
I was not here 2 weeks ago.
That was the idea of putting it on under discussion.
Yeah, but, all right, it should be under discussion, we should discuss it, but tonight you're asking us to vote too.
I'm asking
Okay,
to
so-
put it on for a vote.
So I'm going to call the question now. Is that what we're supposed to do, to get a vote?
No, we will give a vote, but I'm just saying, I want to know how we're going to, as a
Wait,
council,
council, did I call the
things
question?
that come up in the future.
Yes.
And are we supposed to, the first night that we discuss it, or hear from the public?
Take a vote.
Okay, and then, and what? Are we always going to be expected to vote that night?
No, we are not
Okay,
always
then-
going to be
well, then-
expected to vote
well,
that night.
I have called the question.
So is this the exception to the
If you
rule?
would like to suggest, after we vote, that at some future time, we take this issue up and thoroughly discuss it at a work session with the eye to putting it back, we can do that.
The matter has been called for a vote.
Please.
Marie?
Confused, what are we voting on?
What is, we're voting on the resolution
We're
itself?
voting on putting the resolution on
on the-
to the agenda for a possible vote.
Correct.
And so therefore, if we put it on the agenda, it would be Resolution 2018 R097.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Okay, Ms. Bari voted no.
So initially it wasn't a resolution, now it is.
It was on for
So we're
discussion.
voting on the resolution?
Let me explain. The motion to table failed, right? It's 2-2 and abstain. So the motion now there is a motion on the table to put the resolution on the agenda. If you don't want to vote tonight, you can vote no. It simply means it goes to the next meeting because it's under new business. It is under new business. I asked you specifically why you're putting under new business. If you had put it under regular agenda item, it would have been up for vote. So if Linda wants to vote on it at the next meeting, she can simply vote no, it goes to the next meeting agenda. That's what it means.
Again, under Rule 7 of the council rules, only the council members can vote to place it on the agenda. It has to be done by majority. As the mayor said.
Yes, but that is an explanation.
Right,
So we can vote either to put it on the agenda or not to put it on the agenda, and if this goes down, it's not
Yeah, if you
automatically
vote no,
on the next
It
agenda.
goes to the next agenda.
Not
because-
automatically.
Not automatic, I mean, that's your decision, you can,
I believe it could be brought back at any future.
right,
Exactly.
right. So if you don't want to vote on it today, you can vote no.
All right, look, I
Indefinitely.
want
Okay,
to know from other
Alright, so we
councilmen,
have a question
is there
from-
any interest, if this is tabled,
I
in
can't
adding
hear you.
anything between now and the next meeting, that you would add anything to this resolution or not?
You can always add by amending the resolution. You can amend it now, or you can amend it at the next meeting.
I know, but there's a lot of, I can't sit here and write that right now.
But then
It's the first night.
just vote
So-
no and it goes to the next meeting.
How many meetings are we going to spend on this?
I don't think it goes to the next meeting.
Again,
There's
for
a motion.
we do.
It was seconded.
Yes, we
It
did.
was moved, it was seconded,
It's a
and
motion to place it on the agenda. A yes
And it would-
vote places it on the agenda, a no
No
vote doesn't
Doesn't.
place it on the agenda, but it could be placed on a future agenda.
Okay.
Right, so if you want to amend it at the next meeting, vote no, you can amend it at the next meeting.
Look,
All right.
honestly, I think.
Are we all on the same page
Just get
here?
through with this
Look.
tonight.
I'm going to
What?
call the question. Marie?
You vote no, then it goes to the next meeting, no.
We're voting to put it back on the agenda.
Are you kidding me?
And I say
no, we're
no.
not, okay, no, go ahead.
All right, right now, the vote that you're taking, we gave this resolution a number. It's 2018 R97. The vote you're taking is to put it on the agenda.
No.
No. Devers?
Yes.
Hamilton?
I vote yes to put it on the agenda.
Manzari?
No.
Miller?
Yes.
Okay, now it's on the agenda. Don't clap yet.
Linda,
I'm going to make a motion to vote on the resolution.
if it goes down, a similar resolution can be brought up at a future date, or we can just vote on this one and be done with it.
Democracy
at its worst.
I made the motion to vote on the resolution.
I need a second.
The chair will second. Let's get on with this.
Okay, this is a motion to approve 2018 R097. Bree?
No.
Jeevers?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
No, we vote.
Manzari?
I'm going to work through it.
No. Miller?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Well, at least I still have my principles.
Okay, thank you very much. It took 2 hours and 20 minutes.
I just have one comment. My husband tends to watch these things at home. I don't know if he's watching, but he did tell me one thing about this. When I told him about comments about the cost, he said, "Send me the bill. I'll pay it."
Good. For every single resolution, that can be the budget that we do. We'll send Allison's husband the bill every time there's a resolution that's inappropriate that we have no jurisdiction over.
Good. Mark has said that he will split it. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I asked the administrator, do we want to go straight to the...
Yeah, introduce the budget, let her go and then...
And to do that, because can we
All
take...
right, everybody, please keep it down. We have tons of work to do. We thank you all. We have tons of work to do. And remember, by law, this is an open public meeting. We can't close the door. So when you comment in the hall, please whisper. And everybody is welcome to stay.
Okay, we need a motion to move the budget forward.
I'll make a motion.
Chair will Linda will second.
All right, this is a motion to move the budget forward. Sorry, I'm getting all my papers here. Bree?
Yes.
Jeevers?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Manzari?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Okay, 2018 municipal budget, ordinance 2018-12. It's an ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank. Do I have a motion to introduce?
So moved.
Second.
Bree?
Yes.
Jeevers?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Manzari?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
The public hearing for this ordinance is April 23rd, 2018. Now we have the 2018 budget introduction. Do I have a motion to introduce?
So moved.
Second.
Bree?
Yes.
Jeevers?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Manzari?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
The public hearing for the 2018 municipal budget will be held April 23rd, 2018.
All right, we are now up to mayor and administration comments.
And no comments. And the budget was introduced?
Yes,
Done? Okay.
we already introduced.
Administration does have comment.
Okay.
You do have comment about the Zone 3, Zone 4, Zone 5, yeah.
There are no questions of the CFO, right?
The only comment I want to make is the resolutions 095, which is at the end of your agenda. needs to be certified as part of the budget process, so kindly.
And once we adopt that, I will pass around the certification so that each one of you can sign it.
And that is not a supermajority, that's just a majority vote.
Thank you.
All right. Council member comments?
No, I have...
The administration...
I have a couple of
sorry.
comments. Just want to make an announcement that municipal offices will be closed Friday, March 30th in observance of Good Friday. Waste Management will operate regular trash collection on Friday, March 30th. Please have your trash out at the curb no later than 6 a.m. to assure it is not missed. The Department of Public Works will resume the collection of yard waste on Monday, March 26th in Zone 3. I want to advise council and our residents that due to back-to-back storms, that our Public Works Department was not able to complete Zone 3. They are picking up where they left off, and what will occur is that crews are also starting to work in Zone 4. We hope to catch up by using overtime at this point, and I'll keep council appraised on the progress that the crews make. We just hope that the snow is no more for the rest of the year.
Knock on wood.
I'm not a meteorologist either. That's all I have.
Mayor?
I told you, I made 7 pages of comments, give you a heart attack.
Thank you. Linda?
Yesterday, and I guess the rest of us up here attended an event in Community Park. It was sort of a March for Our Lives type of event, dealing with gun violence and things like that. We remembered the 17 students and staff members who were massacred in Parkland, Florida, and elsewhere previously, and even after that. It was a peaceful gathering where we all talked with one another about our concerns, and I hope that those conversations will continue at all levels. Happy Easter and happy Passover to all who celebrate.
Virginia?
I have nothing.
Jodica?
Mercer County held its Green Fest on March 17th at Rider University. There were over 70 eco-friendly local area businesses offering information on sustainability initiatives and community projects. I want to make special mention of the West Windsor Plainsboro Girl Scouts first FTC robotics team, WAGS Robotics, and Green Machine, the FLL team also made up of West Windsor Plainsboro Girl Scouts. WAGS Robotics had this really cool, fully programmed, remote-controlled, Wall-E-type robot that picked up a cube from the floor while I was there. Green Machine, on the other hand, invented a Musa bag, which is a tea bag with a banana peel inside that helps to remove lead from water. These girls are very bright and eloquent in explaining their projects, and it was really impressive. I also had the opportunity to go to the Village School Science Fair on March 24th and witness the scientific talent of 4th and 5th graders who had their projects on display. It was a fun learning experience for me, talking to these eloquent and enthusiastic youngsters. Like a lot of our council members, Westminster Plainsboro residents gathered at Westminster Community Park on the same day, March 24th, to pay our respects after the shooting in Parkland, Florida, and to show our support for the Never Again movement and March for Our Lives. The overwhelming sentiment was one of support for gun control and against gun violence. It was an emotional event for all and one that brought together a part of the community and reminded us to reach out and engage with our neighbors and our friends. Thank you.
Thank you. Aisha?
Nothing for me.
Well, like all of us, I went to the Firehouse Chili Challenge.
That's right.
And we were all there, the mayor was there, the chili was delicious, but I was a little disappointed because Aisha had piqued my interest by talking about how strong the chili was last year, and I didn't find it that way at all.
It's because you're a
Very
tough
mild.
cookie. I thought they were spicy.
Oh, I didn't think they were
was very
spicy. I
spicy.
thought there was only one that was at all spicy. I guess I'm used to spicier food. And as we all were, I was at Community Park on Saturday. We heard some inspiring remarks from West Windsor youngsters, and believe me, Parkland, Florida isn't the only place that teaches brilliant young people to speak brilliantly. So we're up to public hearings.
2018-09, it's an ordinance.
I'll just make one comment. I mean, the mosque opened on Friday. I was there for the first prayer, and it's a beautiful structure.
2018-09, it's an ordinance authorizing the acquisition of right-of-way from the Hunter Family Real Estate Trust located at Block 1612, Lot 23. Address is 18 North Post Road, and the amount's for $18,000.
In case you don't know, this is so that there can be a right turn lane from Village Road onto North Post Road. It will alleviate traffic jams, especially in the morning rush, and prevent, we hope, people from cutting through the park to get where they're going. Anybody want to comment? Seeing none, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Burry?
Yes.
Chevers?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Manzari?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes. Motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Burry?
Yes.
Chevers?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Manzari?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
2018-10, an ordinance to amend and supplement the code of the Township of West Windsor, amending the redevelopment plan, regulating provisions in the RP5 zone district of the Princeton Junction redevelopment plan, Chapter 200 of the Code of the Township of West Windsor.
I'm not going to explain this one. It makes the provisions of the code here more user-friendly and more business-friendly. Anybody want to speak up in favor or against? Seeing none, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Burry?
Yes.
Chevers?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Manzari?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes. Motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Burry?
Yes.
Chevers?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Manzari?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Ordinance 2018-11, an ordinance to amend and supplement the code of the Township of West Windsor, an ordinance amending the redevelopment plan for Princeton Junction by clarifying provisions pertaining to District RP5.
This does the same thing as the above. Anyone want to speak in the public hearing? Thank you. Please come forward, Mr. Hinsdale.
John Hinsdale, 38 Quaker Road, West Windsor. I'm only going to use 90 seconds and $10 this time, and this time my comments are addressed both to the council and to the mayor. I just want to acknowledge that I was incorrect in my prediction earlier this evening when I said that council will not be passing the resolution. I was wrong.
Mr. Hindell, this is just a public hearing.
What?
There will be another opportunity.
Oh, this isn't
for you
that
to-
section?
No, you're
Yeah.
getting a second.
Yeah, it's a public
This comes
hearing.
later?
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry.
just
this
give
is
us about 10
Oh,
minutes.
sorry.
If you want to
If-
talk about redevelopment to us all, you're welcome.
Don't do so much redevelopment. Oh, wait, sorry. My apologies.
That's okay. No problem. So do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Burry?
Yes.
Chevers?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Manzari?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes. Motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Burry?
Yes.
Chevers?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Manzari?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes. Consent agenda.
Resolution 2018-R096, advice and consent of the appointment for Melissa Ferreira as alternate 2 member of the Board of Recreation Commissioners. There are no minutes and bills and claims.
Do we have a motion?
Move to approve. Second.
Burry?
Yes.
Chevers?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Manzari?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes. Recommendations from administration.
Resolution R091, authorizing the mayor and clerk to execute a contract with Sunset Creations, Inc. for the EAB Management Street Tree Replacement, Year 2 of the project. It's $164,900, and a portion of this cost is reimbursed through a state grant. Resolution R092, granting the request from West Windsor Gardens 2 LLC for full release of performance guarantees for private on-site landscape improvements for the Glen, and this is PB 1001. Resolution R093, granting the request from West Windsor Gardens 2 LLC for full release of performance guarantees for public improvements to Clarksville Road and Meadow Road intersection, PB 0503MR. Resolution R094, denial of a request from West Windsor Gardens 2 LLC for a full release of performance guarantees for the Glen. It's for the sales trailer removal and restoration. This is PB 10-01. Resolution R95 is the certification of compliance with the United States Equal Employment Opportunity Commissions in accordance with NJSA 40A 4 through 5. And that's the one that Ms. Loth spoke about, that we need to sign off on.
I'll make a motion to approve 91 through 95.
Second.
Barry?
Yes.
Jeevers?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Manzari?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
And I will pass around now the certification.
Mr. Hinsdale, the next item on the agenda is additional public comment.
45 seconds then, I'll do my best. John Hinsdale, 38 Quaker Road, West Windsor. I just want to acknowledge that my prediction that council wouldn't be passing the resolution was wrong, and I think it's appropriate when you're wrong about something to admit that. And so I would particularly like to apologize to the member of council who proved me wrong in my prediction that a majority of the council would be given to inaction. That would be Councilmember Evers, who was part of that majority I was suspecting wouldn't act, but did. And I want to say that my predictions were based on past experience. I remembered a couple of inexplicable abstentions for an appointment to the Human Relations Council a while back that never really were explained to me, and it was based on that. But sometimes, even when you make predictions based on observations, the world changes and you're incorrect about things. And so I just wanted to acknowledge that and to express my apologies to the council member for misjudging the council member and well, I guess I should also thank the council for passing the resolution. That's all. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah. Anybody who wants to speak?
I'll go. Okay, thank you. Okay, yeah. Hi, John Church, 11 Princeton Place. Interesting meeting. Haven't seen a meeting like this since maybe redevelopment was on the agenda some years ago, where the passions were pretty loud and clear also. So just for the record, I think everyone here opposes this reciprocity bill in the U.S. Senate. And there's really no need to tell our senators how to vote. We know they're going to vote against it. I mean, it's not going to pass the U.S. Senate. So this was really kind of a useless resolution. I mean, maybe it's feel-good and all that kind of good stuff, touchy-feely, all that. It has no real effect, because we know how they're going to vote.
Thank you, Mr. Church.
Absolutely no question that our senators are going to vote against this bill. It'll probably never get through the Senate. So this was just kind of an empty gesture, in my opinion. But I'll just like to say one thing, and that is I hope doggone well that we don't see any more resolutions telling our U.S. senators how they should vote or should not vote. That is not our job on town council. It's not our job. They will do their job, and we elected them to do their job. This is not up to us to be telling our U.S. senators how to vote as a council. Now, please do it as individuals. That's what you're here for. Let them know But this is really, in my opinion, this was not a proper thing to have on the agenda even in the first place. So anyway, we're all for proper gun control, no question about that. No more school shootings, please, please, please. Do what we can to avoid that. But let's keep our heads straight on this, vote not just with our heart, but with our heads when resolutions like this come up. So that's all I have to say, and good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Church.
Hi, wonderful West Windsor Council. Now, I have to say...
Name and address.
All right. Sanjev Rajaram, 5 Rushton Court. Each of you are wonderful individuals, and I can see you're all highly intelligent. You're all doing your jobs very well. And personally, I do support this reciprocity proposal by Ms. Hamilton. You proposed it, right? I do support it. But personally, I think there needs to be more cohesion, more togetherness. Like, we're all on the same team. We all want to make sure our kids are safe. We all want to come to good resolutions, and we should all be professional adults. But personally, if you ask me, I do think you're all doing very good jobs. I think you are good people. You have the best of intentions for all of us. You want to do what's right. You want to protect us, and I respect that, and I thank you all for that. So I grew up in West Windsor. I know I've been here for 20 years. My parents came like in '98. And I've been going through the school system, so I know the whole thing. Look, I know the culture, I know the people. We're a town that, never looks at race, never looks at anything like that. We are very multicultural. We support each other. Like, when I went to school, race was never an issue. After I went out of West Windsor, I sort of started seeing it, but like, in West Windsor, I never felt like different than anybody, and that's the wonder of West Windsor. We're all together, regardless of if you're white, black, brown, green, rainbow-colored, or whatever you are. And I really want to keep that. I want to keep that culture in our town, that culture of togetherness, that culture of not looking at skin color or arbitrary, meaningless physical characteristics, or looking at gender. I think we should respect all people, and that's what we're about. And, tonight I actually had to call the police because I felt threatened when that man threw his chair into the wall. I'm the one who called them here. That's not, I don't think that's appropriate for a discussion. We should have civil discussions. Everyone should express their opinions in a very, respectful way. But there shouldn't be any threats of violence, any anger. There should be discussion, as it's supposed to be. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That wasn't budgeted in our, calling police wasn't budgeted in that $400 per hour. That's extra to police officers.
My name is Karimanasseri, and I am from 152 Fisher Place in Penns Neck. Councilman Hamilton, thank you for the opportunity to see what a live democracy looks like. And also thank you for bringing up an important issue that seizes all of us. It's not that we do not care for the safety of the individuals. The other day, just to share what happened, I was just coming out of my house and I got a phone call on the main road in 571. And I took a left turn to attend to the call so that I'm not driving and speaking to my wife. And I stood in front of a quiet neighborhood, and within 30 minutes of texting and phone calling, I just lost the time. I was confronted by the person whose house in front of which I was standing, with my lights on and texting. And I was dressed exactly like this. And they knocked on the window and said, "Why are you here?" I said, "Look, I've been texting because I didn't want to drive." And our town is so safe that I even offered, "Hey, this is my idea, I stay across the road, just 1 minute across." This gentleman called the police. And I would have done the same thing if I had any reason to suspect. But I believe he called the police purely because of the skin color I had. And it is a personal experience you cannot deny. He was of Caucasian origin. I volunteered an ID, and he had every right to protect his family and himself. And when he felt threatened, he called the police on me. The police came, 2 of them, like within 2 minutes. And they said, "You have a right to be on the side of any road in West Windsor, it's not against the law." He checked up my driving license and I was free to go. I applaud the police of this township for being professional and their commitment, especially the chief today, displaying that commitment that he will move in first and not hold himself back, made me really feel that I belong here and I want to belong here. But what I really did not like is the way in which this discussion has consumed the mind space of our township when we just cannot influence the outcome of it. The right place for that is in the election booth for the state and federal elections, not in this council chamber. The right place to take up an issue which is of national importance is to march to the state and federal capital and make our voices heard. Yes, let us arrange 100 buses for West Windsor people to go and do that, and out of personal money if you can. That will be the way to mobilize people, not for optics. I believe this is pure optics, and it was a waste of time, and I'm appalled that we even have a chair who is so partisan in saying, I will not allow this, I will allow this. I think I saw the worst of democracy as well, which could be called dictatorship couched in democratic visibilities. Thank you.
Brandi Hebert, West Windsor. Congratulations to the whole council for passing the resolution reflecting the public opinion. I think no matter which side you stand, it's good to see you express your opinion. And also respectfully to Mr. Zhang Cho's statement about we all feel the same way, but just don't feel this is the proper forum. My take is that if I were in your position, if that's the case, then I think it's the easiest resolution that's just passed and not even wasting 3 hours of precious time, just move on to the important local issues. Personally, if I were on the council side, that would be my suggestion. Yeah, and also for future references as well, right? Because if we are on the same page, we're all against the law, just say it and then pass on and move on to save lots of hustle and heat debate. So that's it. That's why I was saying in my first round of public comment, when there is a chance to build a common ground, we should seize the opportunity to show unity, to show that we can truly work together, regardless your opinion, party line and everything else. But if you feel strongly about certain things, in this case, again, I respect John Church's opinion, and I think he probably stated the fact that we all agree this law should not be, passed right at this federal level. Then we should just pass and move forward. Again, just my personal opinion for your reference. But thank you again for passing the resolution.
Hi, Matt Weber, 8 Harrison Lane in Princeton Junction. Thank you to the council for not staying in your lane on this one. If the predicted flood of frivolous resolutions does in fact materialize, please alert the public, and I'm sure the grassroots will rear up in support of your precious time. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, we do have council reports. Virginia.
I have nothing right now.
Linda?
Planning Board meets Wednesday, March 28th at 7 p.m. to discuss the expanded economic data section of the draft 2018 re-examination report of the master plan.
Aisha?
Nothing.
Jodika?
The Parking Authority met and they passed a resolution to increase the quarterly permit fee for parking from $120 to $135 per quarter. So that's about $5 a month. So that's really about the Parking Authority. I just have one more comment to make, which I neglected to do in my previous comments, but I attended an information meeting of a national organization called Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America. And I think that was yesterday, seems like a long time ago. And they support putting a stop to gun violence. They are not against guns. They support gun safety and they're against gun violence. That's their goal. And they propagate, their grassroots organization, they claim to be a grassroots organization. They propagate calling your state legislator to register your support or protest as the case may be. That's what they said. I questioned her again about if there was any other way that we could register our support or protest, and she said they were grassroots and this is what they propagate. the private citizens calling their state legislatures. Thank you.
Thank you. I have no report. So what's next is a discussion of a salary and wage ordinance. Now, do we have to go into closed session for that?
No,
No?
that says ordinance, why you need a closed session for that?
All
I mean,
right.
all the supporting material, every question on that was answered and all supporting material was forwarded to everybody. So unless you have questions, just vote to introduce it.
So does anybody have any questions that we didn't have time for before?
No, I already asked my questions behind the scenes, and there was a change in the
Yeah, I mean,
in the hours per day from
is it-
7 to 7.5 hours, so that was one of my concerns.
You know, it was a closed session matter. The things that were sensitive were discussed in closed session. If there's anything that's not sensitive, you're welcome to discuss it further.
Can the item be added to the agenda for action?
Yes, if you have a full count, because it was...
Should that be the pleasure of the council?
If it's the pleasure of the council.
So I'll move it to add it to the agenda.
And because it's an ordinance, you have to have a supermajority under our rule.
To
To
add
add
an
an
ordinance
ordinance?
to the agenda.
Because it's
Yeah,
an
hold on, let me
ordinance.
just look at it real quick, because I just was looking at it.
Well, while you're looking it up, we have a motion.
So I made the motion to add it to the agenda.
Thank you.
Second.
Do we have a roll call vote? If there are at least 4 of us voting yes, Mike's research is moved.
This is to add it to
The
the...
affirmative of a majority of the full, no, I'm sorry, I stand corrected, under 7-4, it's just a majority, I apologize.
This is just to add it to the agenda. Marie?
Yes.
Jeevers?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Manzari?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Okay, motion
Motion to
to
introduce.
introduce, and this will be ordinance, no, it won't be that one. Hold on.
No, it's the next one.
That's the wrong number. Let's see what our last one was. It's 2018-13. So do I have a motion to introduce?
So moved.
Second.
Marie?
Yes.
Jeevers?
Yes.
Hamilton?
Yes.
Manzari?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
The public hearing for this ordinance will be April 9th, 2018.
Thank you, council.
Are there any further administration updates?
None.
Mayor?
No.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
Always in order.
We're adjourned.